You could be saving more on car insurance. Save money with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Monday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. How was your weekend, Kev?
Excellent. Great weekend. Weather was A1.
You were in a good mood Friday. You're in a good mood Monday. That's a good thing.
Listen, man.
Things at work must be great.
Outside of having to cut the grass on Sunday, it was an A+ weekend.
There you go. Again, I know everyone had a great weekend. I know I did as well, and we're excited to be hanging out with you here on this Monday. Let's talk some college football. We're going to open up right away, of course, with the Ohio State Buckeyes. They get a win, but it seems they're not focusing on what they did well. It's what they didn't do well. And, of course, you know, me being a naturally negative person, I think it fits to open up with that. Ohio State 49-27 over Rutgers over the weekend, which is about what we expected, at least from a points standpoint. But I think what we did not expect was the amount of points that Rutgers put on Ohio State's defense. Now, I've heard a lot of excuses over the weekend. Second team. They brought in their second team. Look, we put Rutgers in the category where even Ohio State's second team guys should be able to throttle, the first team guys of Rutgers. Now, let's be clear. I mean, sometimes you can't tell at what point is a team finally kind of reaching its acceptance of good coaching from Greg Schiano and others versus maybe Ohio State just not playing well. But I think one thing we are learning is that, again, I'm not talking about the virus and how it spreads amongst people, but we are learning that no team is even immune to the outcome of the reality of the virus itself in regards to how teams prepared for the upcoming season. Like we thought, remember we were looking around college football saying, oh man, look at all these teams struggling defensively. Look at Alabama struggling defensively. Look at Clemson struggling defensively. And we're sitting over here on our high horse acting like, well, we're the Buckeyes. We've had all this extra practice time. We're going to be just fine. No, that's not just you, but that's even me. I was like, oh man, I don't see Ohio State struggling like this. If anything, I see their defense being their strength and maybe their offense starting out a little slow. Justin Fields looks about as efficient as ever. I mean, he looks about, he's to the surprise of no one, he's right up there in the Heisman conversation, which we knew was going to be the case coming in. But Ohio State gave out 27 points to Rutgers. And I don't care how you spin it. There is not a positive way to spin it. Second team, third team, fourth team, walk-ons, it doesn't matter. Ohio State has no business giving up 27 points to Rutgers. They were outscored in the second half, Kev. When you take a look at this, Rutgers outscored Ohio State in the second half 24-14. 24-14. But no, in all seriousness, regardless, the offense looked okay. I'm still worried about the run game. We have 3 games under the belt of Ohio State now where you look at it and say, I'm not 100%. I mean, look, we've been spoiled with running backs going back decades. I mean, we work with one of the best Buckeye running backs of all time, and Keith Byers here. We've been spoiled for decades with dominant running backs at Ohio State. That not every year is going to be one of those years. But Trey Sermon and Master Teague are just good, solid running backs. They're just good, pure, solid running backs. But they're not J.K. Dobbins. They're not Ezekiel Elliott. They're not, Keith Byers. They're not guys like that, all right? They're just good, solid backs. If you look over the weekend against this Rutgers defense, Trey Sermon, Master Teague, 24 combined carries for 128 yards and a touchdown. They did not dominate on the ground. What I did like, Justin Fields only 6 carries. He didn't come close to trying to take the game over with his legs. I like that he's selective with that too, because why risk your getting injured against an opponent like Rutgers? You don't need to kind of go all out because, at the end of the day, it is Rutgers. But Justin Fields, 24-28, 314 yards and 5 touchdowns. I'd say that's a pretty good day at the office. But one more time, Ohio State 49, Rutgers 27. It's a game that, you feel good about it. It's a win. I'm always nitpicky. I like to nitpick things because I'm not watching the game for how they perform against Rutgers. I'm watching for weaknesses that could impact them down the road against really good teams like Clemson, Alabama, potentially Notre Dame. I think we learned something about them over the weekend, which we'll get to that game coming up here in just a little bit. But there's still some things to be concerned about if you are a Buckeye fan. I'm not trying to be the negative Nancy guy. I'm not trying to, talk smack about the Buckeyes. I think it's very important to look at some of the flaws of this team and say, hey, this can actually hurt Ohio State against Clemson. You're not going to beat Clemson if in 24 carries between Sermon and Teague, you're not going to beat Clemson if they only combine for 128 yards between the two of them and only one touchdown. Justin Fields is not going to throw 5 touchdowns against a Clemson defense, even though you've pointed out, their linebacker weakness is not as strong. You can't rely on the passing game specifically. That's why, last year we talked about Joe Burrow and LSU, but you also look at their run game and you look at, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They were balanced. In fact, Helaire had just as many carries and yards as J.K. Dobbins did. It was a very similar offensive attack as Ohio State. We sit there and act like Dobbins didn't get as many carries because Fields dominated the offense. Both equally dominated the run and the pass game. Same thing with LSU last year. So you have to have a more balanced offensive attack. That's the one thing I'm concerned about on the offensive side. Offensive line, for as experienced as they are, I thought they made a lot of mistakes too. A lot of blocking mistakes.
Yeah.
They looked a little flawed there as well. We're at the point of the season now where we can't just say it's early. 3 games in an 8-game season, we're past it's early part. Some of this stuff needs to be buttoned up because what we thought was going to be an easy November, Kev, somehow, some way, the month of freaking November ends up being the meat of their schedule. How about this? I wrote this down coming in. Michigan State, Penn State are combined 2-7.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the schedule coming up for Ohio State outside Northwestern. Maryland, Northwestern, Indiana all have combined records of 8-1.
Yes, sir.
Like 2020 is unlike anything we've seen before. But your overall reaction, am I overreacting? I still think there's too many flaws we're seeing that they could get by in the Big Ten, but they're not going to get by against some of the bigger teams out there like Alabama, Clemson, and so on. However, they do have Indiana coming up around the corner. They have a Maryland offense led by Tagovailoa's brother. I know he hates being referred to as that. Tula. But they're a dangerous offense too, that if Ohio State makes the mistakes against Maryland for a full game that they did in the second half against Rutgers, Maryland has enough weapons to make things interesting. You can't. I'm no longer sleeping through this month of November. I'm actually excited about the Maryland game, not because I think they could lose, but Maryland's intriguing. They're a little bit interesting. Indiana's definitely intriguing. They're interesting. The Big Ten has finally made me realize that, hey, I don't have to sleep through the entire Big Ten schedule. How about that?
Something that stood out to me the most about the game was the special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my brother have this joke that we have going back and forth for decades now. These special teams ain't so special. And that's what ours are right now. They're not so special. Like, you got to give Rutgers a lot of credit. And Coach Schiano, they threw everything out there. They put everything on tape. So now for upcoming opponents, they're going to be wasting time looking at all this stuff that they did versus Ohio State. And these are teaching tools for the coaching staff at Ohio State to say, this is why you don't chase the play. This is why you have your responsibility on the backside. This is why we teach you these things. You just don't float to the ball on a kickoff return. This is why you stay in your lanes. So these are all teachable moments, and these teachable moments came in a win. You want to have the teachable moments in a win, especially in college football. Are these things alarming? The special team stuff, I think those are fixable with basically just watching film. Like, look, this is why we told you not to do that. See what happened? You didn't do what we told you to do. They busted out the gate the other side. They throw a backwards pass, all this crazy stuff. These are reasons why. So, boom, I think that can be alleviated. Now, the run game, I don't think that's as easy to fix. I think the easiest fix to it would be something no one wants to see until the playoffs, until we absolutely need it, is the zone replays. These are really not zone replays that they're running. They're basically running handoffs, and they're running these handoffs because obviously they don't want to get Fields hit any more than any other quarterback gets hit any other time. But in the big games, the times you're going to need a 3rd and 1, you're going to pull that zone read because a zone read gives you a two-way go with the quarterback or the running back. But I don't necessarily believe we have the explosive running backs on the roster to be a Dobbins, to be a Byers, to be a name your great Ohio State running back, a Eddie George, a Peppy Pearson. We don't have that type of running back on the team. Not saying that can't win you a national championship, but it's simple as they just don't have that oomph. Like, they're good, they're cool, they're good second guys, and maybe we're finding out why Trey Sermon transferred, because he thought like, oh man, I can come to Ohio State and start and dominate, but it looks like he's a role player as well. I like to see DeMario McCall get some action. You got to remember, this is rewinding a couple years back to the Maryland game when so many guys in the running back room got hurt. the big shootout game versus Maryland, DeMario McCall had his best game as an Ohio State Buckeye, and he provides that explosiveness. He doesn't necessarily provide those tough inside the tackle 1 yard runs, but he can go. He can get outside the gate. He can take those long distance runs. And that's something we've all become accustomed to. So maybe they need to work in McCall some more on the run game. Like, the run game is very shaky to me. And it's not just the running backs. It's the offensive line is really not playing that great, to be perfectly honest. Like, they're not playing up to the standard that they did last year. Last year, they had, bar none, the best offensive line in the country. This year is very middle of the pack. Very middle of the pack, in my opinion.
And again, I'm not taking a shot at the offensive line. I mean, it's the same offensive line as last year. Maybe was the offensive line. I mean, are the offensive line's flaws from last year now being exposed this year because J.K. Dobbins was so explosive and was so good that maybe we didn't, we just assume, I don't know. I mean, look, this team looks a little shaky early on. And of course, the reaction right away, people are getting defensive of Ohio State. We're not beating up on Ohio State, but I think you have to be realistic enough to point at some of the flaws as to what you're seeing early on. But let's open up the phone lines, 457-9464. We're officially opening them up. We're going to take your calls. We're also live on Facebook. There's some coming in now, which we'll get to here in just a second. But we're also live on Facebook, which you can, of course, leave your opinions there as well. Keep in mind, go to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show, and you can leave your comments and opinions in the chat section as well, which we'll do now. Let's go to Doug Morgan on Facebook. Doug Morgan says, Justin Fields and those weapons are too good not to win the chip. If he stays healthy, it's a wrap. Doug, I agree with you that the offense is beyond good enough for this team to win a national championship, but my concern is it's not what they're good enough to do to win a national championship. It's what they're not good enough to do to win it. And right now, defensively, I'm not impressed. There are concerns. There are weaknesses. But to be fair, when you equal out the playing field, Alabama's defense isn't looking any better than Ohio State's. All right, when you look at Nebraska, or when you look at Clemson, they're not playing any much better defensively than what Ohio State is at this point. So it could just be a very high-scoring affair in the playoffs. But again, where Ohio State is really going to have to step their game up is with that run game. And right now, I don't have a lot of confidence in Trey Sermon and Master Teague. At least at this point, there's still a lot of football left to be played. But I'm still a little concerned, and I think a lot of people are as far as that goes. Let's go to. Here, I'll go to those in 1 second, Kev. I'm not going to write all them down. I'm going to have you bring them on. But let's here's some of these Facebook reactions here. Nick, shout out to Nick, by the way. He says they don't play Clemson or Bama next week or the week after. Nick, thank you for the schedule rundown. I appreciate that. I'm very well aware.
But that's real, though. Yeah. That's real. That's real because it allows us more time to ramp up for those games.
Mm-hmm. So, but if we're gonna take what they do well and say, if we're gonna take what they do well in the first 3 weeks and say, oh man, Justin Fields is gonna kill Clemson's defense. If we're gonna make those kind of statements in week 2 and 3 of the college football season, then I think we can make the comments we're making now about the concerns of Alabama, Clemson down the road. He goes on to say, new defensive coordinator getting his footing. Rutgers got their points off trick plays. That's even more embarrassing. Like in basketball, if you are the best team in college basketball and some crap team comes in and they keep beating you on the back door, that's embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like when they run those backdoor plays, if you just run simple, basic, boring, if you have fundamental defense and you have help side, there's no such thing as a backdoor wide open layup like that. And that's what happened against Ohio State. Rutgers should not have been able to get those trick plays off. They can maybe get one off. I think you're always good for one when you catch someone off guard. But the second that they went to 1, 2, you really should have been able to stop the third, fourth, and everything else that was coming along after that. I'm nitpicking. That's what I do. I'm not trying to be too negative. But, man, like I said, folks, we're not talking about them getting their footing. We're talking about a Rutgers team who put 27 points up on this defense. I think I'm allowed to be a little concerned about that, and I think you should too. The season's not over by any means. Matt Sturgeon says, I think Ohio State lost its focus in the second half. Looks as if every team in the top 6 has flaws this year. Keep coaching them up and just win in this crazy year. Matt, we agree on that. We agree on that. We butt heads a lot in this little Facebook chat over here, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with him 1,000,000%. That's what's interesting. The reason I'm not panicking is because there's not one thing. There's no LSU this year where they're perfect on both sides of the ball. LSU last year was dominant on offense and defense.
There's no Ohio State from last year either.
And Alabama is. So there's a lot of really good offensive teams and good defensive teams with flaws. And that Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and even we saw Notre Dame play some interesting defense over the weekend. I know it was a high scoring game, but the situational defense too from both Clemson, who missed a lot of guys on the starting side too, which we'll get to that game in a moment. It was a great weekend for college football.
Loved it.
Absolutely beautiful weekend for college football. Who do we have on line one, Kevin?
We have you.
Me?
Yeah.
Is this a Justin then? Justin, welcome in.
Hey, Justin, what's up, man?
How are you?
Oh, man. Just took a break from work. All right, my take on the Buckeyes.
Uh-huh.
I watched the game. I'm worried. You know, I called in last year when we lost to Clemson, and we had a chuckle about that. But here's the thing: that new defensive coach was our coach 2 or 3 years ago. You know, it takes time to transition, but he was our coach before he went to Tennessee, and then he came back. You know, even they said it takes time to gel and time to adjust. Well, I mean, we're only 3 weeks in. So, yeah, we're going to start off slow. There's no room to panic, but we have to basically tighten up or we're going to let one slip on like we did against, actually, no.
Like the Purdue and the Iowa games, right? Like just.
Yes,
yeah.
Those two. But you know what this game actually reminded me of Oregon State, the home opener, because they were scoring touchdowns left and right against our defense.
Oh, yeah. And the one thing, too, I'll say this. The one thing about Ryan Day that I like versus Urban Myers, they always seem to be mentally prepared. But I did think that Ohio State's defense was, you know, they did seem a little mentally out of it at times. They were getting beat on one too many trick plays. I can forgive one trick play. But when you're constantly getting beat, that's not, you know, that's mentally not being in the game. But I agree with everyone. I'm not saying the sky's falling. This team is fine. But I am a little concerned after 3 weeks. You know, I did think they were going to just kind of walk into the shoe and think they were just going to have Rutgers roll over. But that was not the case. Got to give Rutgers credit, too, because they could have gone in there and just got rolled over as well. This isn't a fun season for them. It's one thing to go through the hell of, you know, college football practices and playing games and getting blown out on a regular season. But when you got to do it in empty stadiums during a COVID 2020, this year's been hell. Got to give them a lot of credit, too, because when you're
like they was having fun.
Yeah, they look like
they looked like they was having a blast in the second half.
I mean, they did the game time adjustments. One more thing before I roll out. The running back situation. It almost reminds me of after I'm going to go years back. I know you probably graduated a couple years after me, but back in the 90s when we had Eddie George, and then for the first couple like those years after, we had maybe Peppy Pearson, we had Mike Wiley. I'm probably squashing a few names, but we didn't have like big names until we had Maurice Clarett and then the Beanie Wells. And then, but for those couple years, we didn't have like legit running backs, and we struggled. The one game when before Missouri went to SEC, they were Big 12. We struggled against them when we played them until we finally made adjustments. But that was John Cooper era. This is now Ryan Day's era. So he's a lot more exciting. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Hey, Justin, great hearing from you, man. You take care. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Bye.
All right, 457-9464. You guys talked about Pearson too. He's the running backs coach at Marshall right now. Look how good Marshall's doing.
Cleveland's own Peppy Pearson.
So there's that. All right, who else we got, Kev?
We got Shaw on the line.
Shaw, welcome in. How are you, man?
Not too bad. Average stuff.
Good.
You know, I'm a Michigan fan, so I'm not going to even bore you with all that crap. I've watched all 3 games, and I pay attention to Ohio State as much as I pay attention to the boys up north. My suggestion to you and Kev is to RELAX. Nobody's playing defense this year, and I know that's not. I pretty much already know what you're going to say to that. But nobody's playing defense this year. You really didn't have fall ball. You didn't have a spring. You have a new defensive coordinator. Where else shall I go? The running back situation, I think I agree with Kev a little bit. I think the two-way read is going to come in. I think literally right now they're telling Fields to hand the ball off no matter what.
Don't run. Don't hurt yourself. Like, these aren't the games to do that in. I agree. Because remember my concern from the first game, he had 16 carries. He had more carries than either of the other two running backs in the very first game of the season against Nebraska. I was like, they need to clean that up right away because that can't happen.
Yeah, right. I think in the first game they said, all right, let's just go ahead and let's play football. Let's not put any restrictions on anything. But then after week one, they're like, all right, we see how this is going to go. And I don't think this was a conversation to really everybody in the offense. I think it was more of a Fields thing and maybe the O-line type of thing. Like, hey, we know what the call is. We know what's going on here. But let's kind of hold some stuff back because we don't need to be showing this against Rutgers and Maryland and everybody else. We know what we have. The offensive line part of it, I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's one, they know they're kind of holding some things back, and they'll start ramping it up here in about a week or 2 weeks. But they also know that they're going against Rutgers, and I think I think a lot of what you saw in the second half was just a team that just basically said, we have this, let's put it on coast. And with the trick plays, I look at it kind of like the Boise State-Oklahoma fiasco a couple years ago in the Fiesta Bowl. Yes, Boise State won that game, but it's kind of the same thing where I'm saying Boise State had to throw everything at Oklahoma to even get to overtime. Rutgers was throwing everything in the book to Ohio State, yet you still won 49-27. I kind of figured this is how you were going to be on Saturday night watching the game. I'm like, I bet he's going to come in. He's going to talk about how the defense didn't look good and how blah, 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 blah,
They gave up 27 points to Rutgers. Yeah, I am.
Yes, but, I mean, Alabama gave up 30-some points to Ole Miss. Clemson gave up how many points to Boston College? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
But we've talked about those defenses too. We didn't have fans calling into our show about Clemson saying, hey, you know what? We should take it easy on Clemson's defense because it's early. We rip Clemson and say they ain't winning a national championship with that defense. But then with Ohio State's defense, I know. I'm just saying, but like when I'm prepping a show and one of these opinions, they're not just for one person. They're my opinions. So everyone hears them differently. But like if we don't do that with Clemson, if we don't give Clemson and Alabama the benefit of the doubt, I mean, we've basically written them off saying, oh, there's no way they win a national championship with that defense. Then we can't sit here with Ohio State's defensive flaws and say, oh, they'll be fine. Like you can't have it, not you necessarily, but fans can't do that. But I mean, they can do whatever they want. But I'm just going to say, hey, no way. What's up, Kev?
I got a question for Shaw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm about to ask you, right?
Go ahead, brother.
What do you think about Harbaugh?
Harbaugh needs to go.
Woo-wee.
Harbaugh's got to go. So I'll brief this up real quick. In 2016, the spot game, I think Urban Meyer stole his soul. In that game, just think broadly back to that game. Harbaugh was throwing his clipboard. Harbaugh was doing this. Harbaugh was doing that. Harbaugh was active all over the field. What's Harbaugh doing now on the field? Nothing. He's standing there.
Well, Gaddis calls plays now, right?
Yeah, Gaddis calls it. I mean, I'm correct. Granted, I mean, I'm fine with the OC calling plays, but my point is more Harbaugh's demeanor. He's standing there like it doesn't matter. He's standing there uninspirational. The team looks unprepared. They look uninspired. They look like they look tone deaf. Like whatever Don on the defense looks like they don't care what Don Brown has to say. They're going to do their own thing. They look unprepared. They look unskilled, slow, and every other superlative that you can say about the defense. Justin, you and I talked, I think it was early August, after Ryan Day said his comment about putting 100 on the Wolverines, and I called in and said there was absolutely zero way that was happening. I'm actually backing off that.
That's no way to score 100, man. There's no way.
See, here's my issue. They just gave up 27 points to a team that couldn't score 7 points on Iowa's defense. That was Swiss cheese for 2 weeks, and they couldn't score 7 points on Iowa. Indiana couldn't move the ball up and down the field on anybody. They had 250 yards of offense averaging 250 yards of offense going into the Michigan game. They just darn near got 600 on Michigan. What do you think Fields and those boys are going to do on Michigan's defense?
100, though?
It is going to be a field day. 100, okay, yeah, maybe it's stretched. 75 is definitely in the realm. 80 is definitely in the realm. This is not hyperbole. This is not BS. They are going to stomp them boys a new one that has never been seen in this rivalry.
All right.
It's going to get ugly.
We appreciate your input, Shaw, as always.
Yeah, Sean, thank you, man. Appreciate the call. Appreciate it, man. Look, I mean, and there's still a lot of time between now and when that game officially gets here. But no, do I think Ohio State's a bad team? No. They have flaws. They're not as perfect as we thought they were going to be. We talked about this team as if, they were on, the college football, when obviously the Big Ten just announced that there was no season. They took a national championship away from Ohio State. Nothing is being given to Ohio State. If they win a national title this year, they're going to have to earn it because there's a lot of flaws as of right now. Here on November 9th, as of November 9th, 2020, this team has a lot of flaws that I'm not comfortable betting money on them to win a national championship. Those flaws will probably get better as the season goes on. But here's the deal. So will Clemson. So will Alabama.
Right.
So a lot of these teams. So keep that in mind moving forward as well. Let's go to more Facebook reaction here. Anthony Bauer says, with lack of spring and summer ball, these hiccups are to be expected. By no means did I expect pretty wins and complete games this season for anyone in college football. And Anthony, keep in mind too, I understand that, and that's your opinion, but the masses, we deal with the masses of people. A lot of opinions come in, and the majority of them were that Ohio State wouldn't be fazed by the weird season, that they wouldn't be fazed by the weird, on again, off again type of season. If we take a higher percentage of the fans that we deal with on social media and calls, Ohio State was supposed to just walk in and take care of business. I'm not mocking them or trying to stir the pot here. I'm just saying this is what we should have expected all along. And you know what? If they look off and they still come away with 49-point performances and wins and they're 3-0, you know what? More power to them. Who we got next, Kev?
We got Jerry.
Jerry, how are you, sir?
Hey, guys, what's up?
What do you got for us?
Well, I don't know. I think we're just as good a chance to win this whole thing as anybody else. Like everybody said.
There's Jerry with his great hot takes again. I mean, Mike, you brought the heat today. Oh, man, Jerry called in today to say Ohio State has a chance to win a national championship. You're bringing the heat today, Jerry.
Well, no, I'm just saying, man, everybody's defenses look like crap.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Fields, I think Justin Fields has looked so far to be the best quarterback in college football right now. Mac Jones is right there, but in three games, I mean, he's, teams are kind of loading the box in the running game a little bit, and I think that kind of contributed to how the offensive lines look. But eventually, teams are going to figure out that, holy crap, this kid can throw deep. And I mean, if they want to look, I'm fine with only running for 100 and some yards a game, as long as we're scoring 5 or 6 touchdowns in the air. I mean, I think we'll be fine.
Oh, I definitely think they'll be fine. I'm not waving the white flag by any means. Yeah. These are just the issues after a game. Because no one was expecting to tune into a show on Monday to talk about the great back and forth between Ohio State and Rutgers. The game within the game is what I wanted to dissect, and that's what we're doing here. That's why I'm not really talking too much about what Rutgers did. It's about what Ohio State allowed them to do. And I'm hearing a lot of people say, well, the trick plays. They ran a lot of trick plays. Mm-hmm. Stop trick plays. I mean, stop. You got to be mentally aware enough to be able to stop those trick plays. That's all.
It was 35-3 at the half.
Mm-hmm. And it was 24-14. Rutgers outscored. Let's be clear. In the second half, Rutgers outscored Ohio State 24-14. You can't have that.
Come on.
No, those are facts. That actually happened.
I know that's a fact.
I watched the game. I was like looking at the numbers and everything.
That game was not 35-3 at the half. They would not have. I'm just telling you.
It had a potential to be 7-7 right off the gate.
But let's get to something really important. Kev Nash, man, your team and my team, man, we pulled it out of the fire yesterday. Didn't we? Woo!
I was going to say that for later, but yeah, my Steelers escaped again, man.
Man, both of them escaped. Holy crap.
Last second victories. You got to love them, man.
Hey, man, the thing about the good teams, Kev Nash, and Justin wouldn't know nothing about this. He doesn't root for good teams. Is sometimes you just got to get a little luck, Kev Nash.
Absolutely, man. Luck is on our side. The odds were in our favor.
Exactly. So, congratulations to your Steelers. I'm sure they won't look past anybody else the rest of the year after that. And hopefully my team can get healthy. And I mean, we didn't have 3 of our starting offensive linemen.
I can't hear you over that little violin. What with that violin? What? I can't hear you. What?
No, I ain't violin, brother. We won that game. What you talking about?
Mm-hmm. I just heard a lot of excuses.
See, we win when we got people hurt, Justin, unlike your team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
See?
Our records are the same. Just so you do know that the Browns and the Raiders have the same record, right? Like,
yeah, I do know. We also beat you too, so we're ahead of you in the standings. See, I'm talking to Kev Nash.
Okay. I'll sit this one out. I mean, your hot takes are exhausting me anyways. Oh man, the Buckeyes, they have a chance to win a national championship this year. That you heard it from Jerry first. You heard it here first, folks.
I know. You're just mad because
so mad.
You're rooting for the losers again, Justin. Jesus. It's all good, brother.
Jerry, take care. It's always
talking here, Justin.
Oh, okay, we're not done. I'm going to sit this one out. No, you and Kev, you just chill. I have some pop in my cup. I'm just going to sit over here and drink.
Jerry, we got to get the break, man. We appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Well, that adult conversation lasted a long time. Let's do one more. Who we got?
We got, oh, man. Did we lose one? No, we got Darren.
Darren. What's up, Darren? How are you?
How you been? I ain't talked to you in a long time.
Darren, keep talking. Your phone's cutting out. There we go. That sounds a little bit better. Darren, it has been a while. Hope you're doing well.
I'm hanging in there. Hey, so every time you listen to a sports, they say they script the first 15 to 20 plays, right?
Yep.
And according to everybody that knows supposedly anything about football, that's when you're going to put your best opportunity together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did that against their team. Their best players were all out there for the first 20 plays, and they scored 3 points in the first half. All right?
Yep.
Then we started pulling back. We started playing more younger guys. We got more people into the game. We didn't play as much, and they scored on us. And Ohio State's done that crap for years. For years, they've done that.
But why do we not judge Ohio State for doing that? But when Clemson and Alabama do that, we just say, "Oh, they're not good. They're not good."
Don't put the "we" in this. I don't do that garbage. All right. It is what it is. People are out there, and Rutgers is going to be a better team with the coach they have, without a doubt. I mean, I think that the Big Ten is going to actually become a much better, a much better program. I mean, the whole group as a whole are going to be better over the next couple of years than the SEC. We got better coaches. We get Harbaugh out of here, for God's sake, and we're going to even be better.
I'm with you on that one. I
don't want him to go. I like beating him. It's wonderful.
He's a walking W for Ohio State.
Yeah,
at least,
exactly. Cooper was that way for them.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper couldn't win. You couldn't pay Cooper to win that game. And
Cooper won all the games in between that, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, put more people in the NFL than any other program in the country. But
Cooper was a better coach for Ohio State than Harbaugh's been for Michigan. We can at least say
without a doubt.
We can agree on that too.
Yes, but when it comes down to it, the players that are out there for Ohio State, we started swapping younger guys in there. They weren't playing as much. In the running game, I don't care. Let Fields run the ball. He's not going to be here next year. Let him get through this season, and if he tweaks the knee a little bit, I'm okay with it. It's on him. I want what's that team right there. That man, that young man is the best player in college football, in my opinion, without a doubt. And I don't know if it's even close right now. The kid from Clemson, didn't play that well last year. Fields has played wonderful every time I've seen him play.
Trevor Lawrence's numbers were better than his first year as a freshman. That everyone's was one of the best years in college football for him. His Trevor Lawrence's numbers were great last year. People were just
how many more interceptions he had than the year before?
Yeah, and he also had all of those at the beginning of the year. He threw 3 the final 8 games of the season.
Guess what? How many interceptions Justin Fields got this year?
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Maybe when they play real defense, then we can have that conversation.
Oh, come on, dude.
Rutgers.
I don't care who you play.
I kind of do. Rutgers.
I don't care who you play. We play Penn State. We play Penn State.
0-3.
So it's still Penn State if you're going by that state.
They're 0-3.
You can't say that Rutgers is Rutgers and Penn State's not Penn State then. You can't.
But 0-3.
I don't care if it's 0-3. You can't sit there and say that, it's Rutgers.
Not 1, not 2, but 0-3.
I understand. I can count. That's the great thing about being an American in the United States today is that they give me a good education for free.
I'm with you on that. But hey, Darren, call back more, man. It's good hearing from you.
Bye.
Adios. Look, I'm not. Anyways, 457-9464. So we're keeping the phone lines open. We'll keep on this Ohio State discussion. Am I overreacting? I'm not concerned that Ohio State's not going to win a national championship. Of course, they're in position to win a national championship, but I'm not going. I have never once been the fanboy to overlook the flaws of the Buckeyes in the game. That got me in trouble with one of the Buckeye blogger sites in the area because I wouldn't go on the airwaves and talk about how, oh man, they lost to Purdue, and I'm going to tell you why they still can win a national championship. I'm not going to waste your or my time doing that. There are flaws with this team. They're not going to keep them from winning a national championship as of yet, but I'm going to point them out. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It is what it is. Ohio State is still great. I love Justin Fields. I love this offense. I love the defense. Is making me a little weary. It's making me a little nervous. There's no Chase Young. That could have a problem. No Chase Young, no Jeff Okudah. That's kind of it's a problem.
I'll end you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still here. How about that? All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. But overall, I'm hearing a lot of, Rutgers put up 27 on Ohio State, but no big deal because they were playing their second string guys. I don't know. That's still a problem. How about the November for Big Ten football, though, in Ohio State? I thought we were going to snooze through November. I keep even saying this. I'm excited for Ohio State, Maryland on Saturday. I'm excited for Ohio State, Indiana. I never thought in a million years that I would say that. Shut up. Give me a break. I need my props, dog. I got some props. All right, folks, we'll be back. Give us a call, 457-9464. Is anyone else out there a little concerned? It's okay to be honest, guys. You're not going to lose your Buckeye fandom card, all right? It's okay to acknowledge that, hey, I'm not comfortable with what we're seeing. And I think we can have that conversation without, being called a hater. I'll end you. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
An important message from former Ohio State football coaches Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel about Ohio's fight against COVID-19.
There are moments in life when all the greats are tested.
But they persevere, adapt, and never, ever give up.
Ohio, that's you. You've saved countless lives and slowed the spread.
But we can't let up. We need to stick to our game plan because we know it works.
That way we can return to doing all the things we love and enjoy.
With our families and our friends.
Infection rates and hospitalizations are rising across Ohio, in our big cities and our small towns. Please wear masks in public, especially when you go inside. Practice social distancing and be careful even in small social gatherings. Don't let your guard down. Don't let the virus spread.
Ohio, when we stick together, we always win.
It's up to all of us.
This message is brought to you by the Ohio Department of Health.
While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Greg Gatson, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans and their families get the benefits they've earned.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
I left the military with a traumatic brain injury. I came home to fight depression, anxiety, and alcohol.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Adam Greathouse, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
With DAV's help, I've built a new life for myself.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just experiencing life.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
If I learned one thing from this great game of baseball, it's that she'll humble you. You think you've got it figured out, you check the standings, and you're in last place again. I'm Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM, and I can put my team in position to win every single time, but I can't play the games, people. At least Progressive's Name Your Price tool has options based on my budget. It never lets me down, unlike my pitching staff. Amateurs!
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Want to hear how I almost got off the naughty list this year? I helped Santa save gazillions by having him download Capital One Shopping to his computer. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout. You can download it too and save a bundle. You don't even need a Capital One card, and it's free. So why didn't I get off the naughty list? Turns out Santa's a stickler for naughty words. Capital One Shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Assurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Susie, I love you. Your skin is soft, like a fresh leather interior.
Oh, Joe.
Your smell is intoxicating, like that of a new tire.
You always know how to make me blush.
So this year I got you something special.
Tires. Touring tires with an asymmetrical tread design.
Yeah, and a free alignment with standard installation.
It's just what I've always wanted.
Susie doesn't know that Joe saved $150 at Tire Discounters. This holiday, say it with tires.
Call or click 811 before you dig. Anything that causes you to roll up your sleeves a little and dig in requires you to first connect with 811. Call or click 811 and visit safeexcavator.com.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
College basketball season coming up just around the corner. In fact, the AP Top 25 poll is out. The Dayton Flyers finished last season number 3 in the country. And you look at the AP Top 25 that just came out today, the Dayton Flyers not even ranked at all. They didn't even receive any Top 25 votes.
How dare they?
Coming up in hour number 2, we're going to talk about are the Flyers being overlooked? Are they being disrespected? Not a lot of fans are happy, nor should they be. But it's an interesting dilemma for the Flyers. But the one thing, if you look at Dayton the last couple of years, the expectations for them coming in are always low, and they always surpass those, especially after what we saw last year with, of course, the breakout season that they had. Not just a breakout year. I mean, it was a nationally breakout season. It was unbelievable. But we'll get into some Dayton Flyers college basketball preseason talk coming up here just around the corner. In fact, we're going to be touching base with some of our college basketball coaches here over the next couple of weeks. We'll talk to Scott Nagy, Wright State head basketball coach, preseason Horizon League Coach of the Year coming up on Wednesday. Loudon Love, Player of the Year. We'll talk with him as well coming up. So we're excited to kind of shift gears towards the college basketball scene of things here in the coming weeks. But let's get back to what we opened up with, of course, Ohio State, Rutgers, 49-27, the final. Ohio State outscored in the second half, 24-14 in the second half. Am I making too much of that? Let me just ask you before we get back to the phone calls. They were in the second half alone. Rutgers outscored Ohio State 24-17. Now, I get why if you go to your second string guys, your level of play might take a step back. But when you're talking about Ohio State and Rutgers, the gap should not be close enough to where even your second string guys should get played like that. And I don't want to hear, like, we always do this. Like, why are we not allowed to say that our opponent is bad? Because every time, like with Ohio State being as dominant as they are, and I'll never question that. Why is it so hard to just say, yeah, we didn't play our best game? Why do we have to do this thing where we try to convince people that, well, Rutgers is pretty good. They have Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano, he's turning them around. Stop. It's okay to admit that Ohio State just didn't play. But Greg Schiano, no. Stop. But Greg Schiano, you don't get it, Kenner. No, I get it. Greg Schiano, I'm sure he's a fine dude. Love to have a beer with him one time. But it's Rutgers. And for the time being, it's Rutgers. And I know that he had success with them years ago. That was years ago. We're talking about right now. Ohio State, we put them on the category, on the level of national championship or bust. There's only 3 programs in the country right now that have national championship or bust, and that's Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama. And it's tough to get to. I don't even think there's a 4th team that's on the verge of being close. There are good teams like LSU, and there are good teams like Auburn. Penn State's in that mix from time to time. You would like to put Michigan there. Well, we wouldn't, but Michigan, you would like to think that they're there, but they're not. Texas, Oklahoma, you think would be there. It's hard to get to that level. So I don't think I'm being a hater for being just a little critical, because I'm holding my team to a high standard of, I don't want my team that is championship or bust being outscored by Rutgers at any point of a game, especially an entire half, 24-14. I'm not trying to stir the pot, folks, I promise. I'm not trying to just, be critical for no reason. That bothers me. It does. I don't want to hear that, the second string guys and all that, because if Alabama struggled against a bad team in the SEC, we wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt of, well, Kenner, hold on. You're being a little critical of Alabama. Can we open up the box score first just to find out who was in the game in the second half? Let's just be a little calm here. Let's just not jump to conclusion. No. We say, roll tide my ass. Look how bad that defense is. We do that all the time, and it's fine. That's the fun part of sports, but I try to be consistent across the board. So
something I noticed from doing the show with you for the last couple of months is I'm a weirdo because I watch every game.
We agree finally. No, I'm just joking.
But what? I watch a ton of college football. I watch the other teams. I watch the other teams when there's not the big matchup, when it's not Bama, LSU, and stuff like that. I watch the Bama, Ole Miss game. Like, I watch a ton of college football, especially the people that we want to play against in the college football playoff. So something I've learned is, we know, our fan base knows so much about our team. We know the incoming freshmen. We know the backups to the backups, the walk-ons. Like, the walk-on so-and-so was getting some burn in the third quarter. That's surprising. But in hindsight, we don't know that same information about the other teams.
Yep.
Outside of our region that we don't care nothing about, that we really only tune in.
We don't follow Rutgers nuts or anything like
or Bama stuff. So when Bama does the exact same thing we do, put in second team guys, and the other team scores a ton of points, we don't know that, okay, John Jones is a walk-on for Alabama. He just got burnt for an 80-yard touchdown. We don't know that. All we see is the Bama guy get burnt for an 80-yard touchdown. See, they suck. So that's something I've learned throughout this journey with you. For as far as taking it too far, thinking you're over the ledge, I don't necessarily believe you're overthinking it or over the ledge about expecting Ohio State to dominate from beginning to end, as opposed to dominating from the first and second quarter and just basically coasting the third and fourth quarter. The more important thing is that the coaching staff is on their butt about it.
Mm-hmm.
These, like I keep saying, man, these are teachable moments in a victory, in a blowout victory. They're teachable moments. So I don't necessarily think you're going over the edge by saying, like, we deserve better than that as a fan base and as Ohio State fans. I don't think you're going over the ledge too far, but we just got to hope our coaching staff is doing the right thing and showing these guys the tape and showing them this is what can get you beat versus Clemson, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that team up north, maybe Indiana. Like, put all this stuff on tape and show them this is what happens.
Yep.
You want to keep playing around and we end up losing, because guess what? Coach is still going to get paid. Y'all here to win a championship. So
you got 4 years to do it.
Yeah.
And
So it's in the players' hands. We going to put you in the right positions. Trust and believe that. And the staff always puts them in great positions to succeed and win games. They just have to execute. So these are teachable moments. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, let's go to the phones. 457-9464 reaction to Ohio State Rutgers over the weekend. What'd you take away from that game? Who we got?
We got Ed.
Ed, how are you, sir? Welcome in. Ed, you still there? All right, on to the next one.
We got Rob.
Rob, you're up. Take Ed's spot, Rob. What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Well, a great win for my Irish, right?
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad.
He don't want to say it. He don't want to say it.
No, it was a good win. No, to be fair, we're critical of Notre Dame because every time we put them up on this pedestal and say, oh, they belong there, they not only lose, they usually get blown out in those situations. But not only do they not get blown out, they win in double overtime in a classic game. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat for that whole game, that overtime especially. That was a hell of a game. So, yes, congratulations to the Irish.
I mean, I tell you what, the only sad thing is, Notre Dame needs to bring back the natural grass, but that's besides the point.
Everything that happened over the weekend, that's what you're going to talk about is the natural grass, huh? Okay.
Well, no, I'm happy with the win. My anniversary, my wife got me a Notre Dame hoodie. I'm good to go. But no, it was a great win by Notre Dame. But let me tell you something. Clemson's got them a quarterback after Lawrence. Obviously.
No kidding. Good for Dabo. Go from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence and now to Ooey Pooey. I can't even pronounce his name, to be honest with you. Whoa.
Whatever. Yeah. I'm too old to try to figure that out. But no, it was a great win by Notre Dame. But a long way to go. They may have to play Clemson again. But I'm happy. I'm happy that they finally, they beat the number one team in the country. They were Clemson was favored by 5 points. So, they weren't too far off from that. But, going to Ohio State and getting outscored in the second half, that means absolutely nothing.
Okay. No, that's fair. I mean, and many people believe it is, but I'm just one of those people where I look at situations where I'm like, that doesn't look right. It just didn't look. It's weird, and it's weird saying it that Rutgers outscored Ohio State 24-14 in the second half, and even with only putting 14 points up in the second half, Ohio State still nearly put 50 up. So good for them.
But no, Ohio State's in a great spot. The top four, they got it right. Notre Dame should be ahead of Ohio State. They did beat the number one team. I think they got it right, and there's still a lot of football to be played.
No, yeah, it always irons itself out. That's for sure. But I like living in the moment of, based on where we're at now. If the college football season ended now, where would we be? It's hard to argue with what Notre Dame just accomplished over the weekend. They had the best weekend of anyone in football. So good for them. And congratulations to your Irish, man. So good job.
Oh, hey, one day I'll get you guys to say go Irish.
I'll give you go Irish. Go Irish. I'll give it to you now. Go Irish. That's a hell of a win. I rip Notre Dame like you would not believe constantly because every time they get in these big type of games, they always, get embarrassed. But they finally got that big win under the Kelly era. So good for them.
All right. Right. They don't get all the 5-star athletes and stuff like that, but they get some 4 stars and 3 stars and not all the time does a 5-star work out.
Yeah, but your student section's dumber than hell.
Yeah. Okay.
Big Rona.
Hey, we'll talk to you later, Rob. Congrats on the win.
Hey, guys, get a chance. You ever been to a Notre Dame game? Go. It is a lot of fun. When the crowd could come back and everything. It's a lot of fun. People. It's a great atmosphere.
Fair enough. I'm all about the atmospheres, man. Take care. All right, good stuff. 457-9464. Yes, we haven't even gotten into the other top games around college football. Let's take a little bit of a breather. Who we still got on hold, Kev?
We got Brian, Mike, and Mark.
Brian, Mike, Mark. We're going to get to your calls right away when we come back. Don't go anywhere. I want to make sure we get to everyone's opinion about this past weekend. Ohio State should be in the college football playoff. They have done nothing to deserve being bumped or anything like that.
So the rumors about you not having Ohio State in your top 4 are
they're
not
in
true.
The top 4. I've never once said. I mean,
I just heard a rumor that you didn't have them in your top 4.
Well, they're definitely in my top 4. They weren't good. They didn't go anywhere. They stayed right where they are. They stayed right there, number 3. So there you go. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're ready to get back into yoga, so you ordered the essentials. A non-slip mat, yoga blocks to keep balance, and an exercise ball. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential yoga gear. Noise-canceling headphones.
Welcome. Take a deep breath. Breathe.
Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Choose your paint colors with confidence and save big money on your next project at Menards. Dutch Boy Paints provide your home's interior surfaces with a beautiful look that stays clean year after year. Right now, all Dutch Boy paints are 11% off. Stop waiting and start saving today at Menards. 11% good until November 14th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance. Save money with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Flyers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We're getting things going here in hour number 2. A couple things that you might have missed throughout the day and over the weekend. Alabama, LSU, the big college football matchup coming up this weekend. In fact, the matchup itself is not as big as what we had anticipated it being, of course, with LSU just completely falling off the map a little bit. But LSU's showdown against Alabama on Saturday is in jeopardy as the Tigers deal with multiple players in quarantine as a result of COVID-19 testing. Multiple players, including starters, will be unavailable, according to Edward Durango-Tigers. That he said on Monday, some have tested positive, while the majority are out as a result of contact tracing. So interesting there again, as you take a look around the world of college football, just how COVID-19, although whether you test positive or not, or even if it's just one single isolated incident, it's still having impacts on games. Because take a look at Clemson. I don't know if they beat Notre Dame with Trevor Lawrence, because it's not like the court. This It's not like they took a hit from the quarterback position in their performance against Notre Dame, but you'd have to think that big star players missing key games due to this. I mean, we're seeing it in different levels, whether it's masses of players like at Wisconsin or even LSU earlier in the year. LSU now their second wave of an outbreak amongst their football program. But another big game, LSU Florida was postponed and moved earlier in the year. Now Alabama LSU could potentially be moved due to COVID.
The Rona is real, man. It's still out here, man. No matter what people tell you, no matter what the election did, the Rona is still out here. We need to mask up. We need to socially distant. And, if they get through this season, it's a miracle.
Yep. Speaking of COVID, lots of COVID headlines right here. Baker Mayfield has been put in quarantine as well. He could potentially return to practice on Wednesday if he has 3 straight negative COVID tests. Again, due to contact tracing, he has come in contact with someone who has recently tested positive due to contact tracing it back to Baker Mayfield, at least being in contact with them. He just has to have 3 negative tests and he could return to practice on Wednesday, but his status for Sunday against the Texans coming out of the bye week could be in jeopardy as well. Keep in mind, Baker Mayfield, since being drafted by the Browns and being named the starter, has never missed a game. He has never missed a game for the Cleveland Browns, and I think that's impressive too. Your best ability is your availability. He's been there, but of course sometimes when he's there, it doesn't always end up so hot. But we're going to get into this coming up. The Browns get Nick Chubb back.
Yeah.
You would like to think that the whole roster is going to be back and ready to go, which it should be, minus, of course, OBJ, who's out for the year. But you asked an interesting question earlier. If the Browns could, I think being without Baker Mayfield, a lot of people thought it was a dumb question at first. When with the one you sent about if you could only have, would you rather have Nick Chubb and no Baker Mayfield this Saturday or this Sunday, or would you rather have Baker Mayfield and no Nick Chubb? It was interesting seeing some of the reactions on that. Really? Some were like, that's a dumb question. Of course you want Nick Chubb. But I'm like, now I think in this situation, you kind of want the stability at quarterback for right now. I'm not convinced that Case Keenum's just going to come in and be the guy. So we'll find out as far as that goes. Yeah, DJ Killikev says, who's the backup? Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
So there's that. Gonzaga, the Bulldogs, they open up as the number 1 team in the AP Top 25 preseason poll. Of course, as we talked about earlier, the Dayton Flyers, they received 0 top 25 votes. They're not in the top 25. Keep in mind when the 2019-2020 season ended, Kev, that, of course, had them finishing at number 3, which is unbelievable. You look up and you get these rankings and you take a look, and you're like, holy smokes, the Dayton Flyers at number 3. They're not in the rankings right now, top 25. In fact, if you look at the top 5, Gonzaga comes in at number 1, Baylor 2, Villanova 3, Virginia 4, Iowa 5. That's a weird top 5. No blue bloods in there, right? There's no blue blood. I mean, Villanova has absolutely dominated as of late.
Yeah.
But I mean, no traditional blue blood, no Dukes, no North Carolinas, no Kentuckys, no Michigan States, none of that. So interesting when you take a look at that. I forgot to Shaw a little bit ago said that Iowa's overrated. I think Iowa was really good last year. It was really fun watching the back and forth between Iowa fans and, of course, the Dayton Flyers fans, because it was the ongoing battle for who was going to win National Player of the Year between Obi Toppin and Luka Garza. Of course, Obi Toppin got the upper hand there, but that's kind of the nice thing about basketball is in football we talk so much about, man, if you're not Power 5, you don't matter. Obi Toppin last year, and you look at programs like Gonzaga and others are proving that, hey, we may not be swimming in the deep end with the Sharks, but hey, we're making just as much impact as some of these other top programs and top players is concerned. So we'll get into more of that coming up around the corner. Plenty of college basketball talk coming up later on this week. But 457-9464 phone lines are open. We have some other news involving college football as well, Kev. Last thing, and then we'll get back to the Buckeye calls. The Wisconsin Badgers are expected to resume play on Saturday with COVID-19 cases now down to 5. So
welcome back.
They've been able to kind of close everything in and get it down to the final 5 from that huge outbreak that I think was like 25. It was close to 25 between staff and personnel, players and whatnot. But interesting nonetheless. So Wisconsin could be back out on the field. They have Michigan coming up this Saturday, and Michigan desperately needs a win over a top program again. But Michigan's not going to live it down. You lose, it's another loss. You win, well, Wisconsin, how prepared were they? They've been out for 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks. They haven't played since week 1. So they need to get back out on the field, though. Wisconsin does, and Michigan desperately needs to get a W. So that will be an interesting game coming up on Saturday.
Definitely a lot of interest in football out there, especially on the college ranks, because I'm a firm believer that once teams get that second loss, you're going to see a major checkout by the student athletes saying, why are we playing? We're not playing for anything like that. So especially teams that had expectations, trying to, get to the Big Ten championship game or win a national championship. I'm expecting major checkout from Michigan. I'm expecting major checkout from Georgia, like teams that had high expectations going into this year. Like we already saw, basically, Penn State is checked out. They're done. Like, I don't see them winning the game this year, to be perfectly honest. Like, all their hopes and dreams went out the window week 1. Then they ramped it up for game 2 versus the Buckeyes, took that second loss, and then just lost their third game already. So I think a lot of teams will be on checkout.
Yeah, and I've always said that about the big concern I've always had about Penn State is that they live, we talk about Ohio State, Michigan living just to face one another. Mm-hmm. Although Ohio State's been, at the level to where they not overlook Michigan, but they can keep an eye on Michigan over here, all while keeping their eye on the big prize being the national championship. Penn State is so consumed with Ohio State that I would love to go back. In fact, I need to. If you went back through the James Franklin era, I would have to think that I would love to see their win-loss record the week after losing to Ohio State. Because when they lose to Ohio State, they live and die for that game. Mm-hmm. And when they lose, the wheels come falling off. When they had that big lead over JT Barrett and the Buckeyes years ago, they were one of the top teams of the Penn State they were talking about Ohio State, Penn State, 2 teams out of the Big Ten contending for the college football playoff. Ohio State wins, and of course they lose to Iowa after that. But then Penn State, they just completely fell off moving forward. It's like they mentally check out. And we just saw Penn State get beat by Ohio State last week. And then they come out this past weekend and just have no fight, no inspiration, whatever. Like that's coaching. I'm sorry, that's coaching as far as that goes. But let's get back to the caller's reaction involving the Ohio State Buckeyes from over the weekend. It wasn't the opponent itself that I was intrigued by. It was the battle within the battle itself, and there was a lot of takeaways from that. One more time, Justin Fields completes 24 of his 28 passes for 314 yards and 5 touchdowns. He keeps his name elevated there in the Heisman conversation. The one concern we had, 24 combined carries between Trey Sermon and Master Teague for 128 yards and a touchdown. You need to get more, production from not just the run game, but from at least one of those two to kind of separate themselves from the other to find out who is going to be the featured back moving forward. Rutgers outscores Ohio State in the second half, 24-14, and Ohio State now gearing up for a confident Maryland team who's 2-1 to start. You have Tagovailoa, who's just been dominant to start the season. At least I should say that. He had a rough week 1, but he's been fantastic the last 2 weeks. Maryland's chomping at the bit to welcome in Ohio State coming up this Saturday, a 3:30 kick coming up this weekend.
I'll live for it, man. I'll live for it.
All right, let's go to the phones. 457-9464. Who we got, Kev?
We have the True American.
The True American. What up, dude?
What up, dude?
How are you?
Your sidekick doesn't always. Whenever I call in, man, when I'm on day shift, he doesn't really treat me. It seems like with a whole lot of respect or very cordial towards me. I guess it's because he's a Pittsburgh fan, so that's cool. We'll let it go with that. Since we don't like each other, that works. Real quick.
Who said that?
Real quick on the Ohio State Notre Dame thing. I'll get to my Browns in a minute. The Leprechauns, you guys can have your time right now. Just remember, I believe it's next year and the year after there's a home and away with the Buckeyes. Then we'll see what you're made of. Correct? Don't they do a home and away next year, starting next year?
It's coming up. And real quick, Steve, will you call back? You're cutting out big time. I don't think it's on our end. I think that's his end. Steve, call back. Get a better, I know you don't have one of them cellular devices, but call back because that phone connection was horrible. I could barely hear him. I think he brought up Ohio State, Notre Dame. But yeah, so Notre Dame might have a good shot against Ohio State here in a few years if, the starting quarterback's out and there's some key starters missing on the defensive end. I think Notre Dame might have a shot. Kev, who else we got? Steve, call back. We'll get you back up
We
here.
got Brian.
Brian, how are you, sir? Welcome in.
Hey, Justin, Kev, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, listen, to both your points, Justin, I totally agree. That defense did not pass the eye test in the second half. And Kev, to your point, coaching, that's what it's all about. I had another sports talk program on today earlier, and Jimmy Johnson was commenting on the Steeler-Cowboy game and playing down to the level of your competition. And I think that's exactly what we saw in the second half. I don't think the effort was there. I totally believe a lot of people would think, 70 points, you're going to run up 70 points on the second half. It's not about running up the score. It's about giving the effort and winning. At this point, that is not a championship caliber defense that we're watching. And I just feel it's about coaching, and it's not going to go our direction. I'm with you, Justin. Maryland is very worrisome, and so is Indiana at this point. I mean, those are two games that you have to take seriously.
They are, and, teams are always, worrisome of having Ohio State come into town anyway because it's Ohio State. But what happens is sometimes you get programs who they don't care about what's on the chest of Ohio State's jerseys. They're confident that they can roll with them. And sometimes if you come out flat, and we saw what happened the last time Ohio State played at Maryland, they barely squeaked by back when they had Dwayne Haskins. That could potentially be this type of thing we see on Saturday, because the one thing that was in common with that year a couple years ago was the fact that the defense wasn't very solid. This defense still better than that one, but there are some deficiencies on the defensive end that Ohio State has to be weary about as far as that goes. My concern, with this was about the fact that I was looking forward to seeing, Stroud and Jack Miller and seeing some of the backups, and we didn't get that opportunity. And I think with what you're seeing with Clemson, it's important that Ohio State figure out who some of these backup guys are, because we have no clue what Jack Miller and Stroud bring to the table. And teams like Rutgers and others would have been great opportunities to kind of get to know who your backups are.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I had a Keith Byers show on earlier. Obviously, I haven't been working today because I'm on sports talk all day.
We appreciate when you listen to the station any time of the day. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. But Keith was talking again about, which another point you alluded to, Justin, that, we normally have a pretty elite back. And, Master Teague is a good back, but right now, Keith made a great point. You can't really say we've got an elite back right now. And that running game is going to, not that I'm criticizing the offense is very good. Mm-hmm. But that's an aspect that probably, when Keith said that, I'm like, you know what, he's right. And to your point, we really didn't see the backup backs. So I mean, we need to see some of these players and see what we've got, because as of right now, my point is, I'm with you. This is not a championship caliber defense that we have.
No, but, we focus on a lot of the problems with the team. I want to just bring up, by the way, Garrett Wilson is just skyrocketing, is already being one of my all-time favorite Buckeyes. I mean, third straight game with 100-yard receivings. He has 24 receptions on the year for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this kid's unbelievable. I love watching him play. I think that the passing attack for Ohio State is why I think they can kind of survive the run game. I will say this, the run game is not horrible. It's just we've been spoiled. That's the thing with Ohio State. When we start nitpicking things like I do, it's mainly coming from a place of being spoiled.
I totally agree.
We go from just one dominant back to the next, from one dominant quarterback to the next, from one dominant, receiver to the next. It's like eventually sometimes that, we don't have that. And then it's like, we sit here and say, oh, man, this team's horrible. This team's not horrible. They have some flaws, but so does every other team out there. But, man, this team has a lot of gems as well, and Garrett Wilson's one of them.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. And fellas, I love the show and appreciate you giving me the time today.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for being patient on hold. We always appreciate that too. You take care.
Have a great day.
Yep.
Thank you.
I am bringing up a lot of negativity. I want to bring up your thoughts on the passing game too, because we could talk about how dominant Justin Fields has been, but the one reason he's been able to be dominant is because he has weapons galore in this pass game, and Garrett Wilson, he's going to be around a little bit longer, and that's a good
tight ends got involved a little bit this week too.
Yes.
I know,
and we saw that last week a little too.
We always talk about that. We always talk about getting the tight ends involved. So you love to see the big guys that always sacrificing and blocking for the running game get involved in the passing game. Throw them a bone or two.
All right, Buckeye fans, help me out, because I don't want to beat up on the Buckeyes for 3 hours. That was not my intention. I'm not even. This team's fine. They're going to be fine. I just pointed out some of the flaws I noticed, but we can't talk about and spend hours on the flaws if we're not going to talk about some of the good. So you just heard my good right there. For one, Justin Fields is a given. I don't think I need to drool over Justin Fields. I think his greatness is just a given. You know what I mean? But it's his weapons around him. For me, obviously, as we just talked about with the passing game for Ohio State, that's been one fun thing about this team to watch as well. But 457-9464 Buckeyes, what did you love about what you saw over the weekend? I'm being too negative, so okay, correct me. What was it about Saturday that, again, just has you convinced this team is winning a national championship? I think the easy one is Justin Fields. But I think someone just messaged in, I think you're being too critical of the run game. I agree. I think I'm being a little too critical. They still got over 100 rushing yards over the week. Like, they're still there, Kev. Like, it's just not as sexy as it used to be. That's all. It's not sexy anymore. It's just a good, solid run game. But you're going to have to expect more probably in tighter game situations against bigger opponents is all.
Very workmanlike. That's what the running game was like. It wasn't explosive. It was, get the yards that we need, convert the first downs, and get it back into the hands of Justin Fields and let him throw the ball around. That's something that all Ohio State fans have to get used to. We talked about this back in the Dwayne Haskins era when we were throwing the ball all over the place, and we really didn't think that we would get that type of offense back so soon, that we have a dominant quarterback in the passing game. We are wanting to see a well-rounded machine, basically like we did last year, where we could run and pass at will. Right now, we're passing at will. We're running solid. Good enough. But, we're fans. We want to see, 50-yard runs. 10-yard runs ain't good enough. That's just how the fan base is.
I'm with you. Who we got? Let's go.
We got Mark.
Mark, thanks for holding, sir. Welcome in. How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Good. Did you have a good weekend? It was beautiful out, by the way. I mean, if you weren't watching college football, you better have been out on the golf course.
I was on the golf course on Saturday, and then I tuned into some football on Saturday evening. But I'm a little Kevin, you're spot on. Everything Kev says, I'm on. Justin, just a little disappointed in you. But not much. Not much. As a Browns, Kevin's spot on about, people checking out. I'm sitting at the traffic light, man. Kevin's spot on. You're 0-2 in college football right now. You're thinking, can we just pack it in and COVID, we'll lead to COVID. But all right, Justin, here we go. I'm going to start on you, and then I'm going to take a little shot at my Buckeyes. If you are a Browns fan and you had an opportunity to gain a game on the Steelers last night, and I know one call doesn't determine a football game usually, but when you got the Steelers at 3rd and 10 in their own territory, and you get a phantom roughing the passer call like
hit him in the head, Mark. Hit him in the head.
I know, but the guy was off balance. It wasn't even really on the play. He got spun around, and then when the Cowboys got the ball back, their quarterback took a shot in the head. I don't like either team, but I think the Cowboys gave about all they could possibly give last night, and I think they deserve just a little better fate on that roughing the passer call against the Squealers. I'll leave that there.
I'm going to say this real quick. As most of you know, I am the worst fan in the history of the world. I was a Steelers fan last night because of money. I'm in an
God, are you?
What? I'm in an eliminator league.
Yeah,
okay. I'm in an eliminator league, and it's down to 5. 3 of the 5 picked the Steelers.
If you're a true fan, you're not going to go against your team. I'm disappointed.
Listen, I'm engaged. Weddings are expensive, and I have a chance to win $600. So I'm that's at least a plate or two, right?
You must be thinking you're going to get the wild card. Then I'll tell you.
I was happy. I was actually mad that the Cowboys were actually putting forth effort last night. I'm like, the one week you want to put forth effort is the night I have $600 on the line. No. So yes, I was a big Steelers fan last night, but at the second that clock hit 0, I was back to hating them again.
Well, here's my take on my Buckeyes.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know I bleed scarlet and gray, but I'm very concerned because the only thing we know about our Buckeye team, the only 2 things we know, and you guys touched on some of the points, we're not stoppable in our passing game because we got a damn good quarterback, and we probably have the best receiving core in college football. That's the only thing we know. We know our running game's a little shaky. We know our offensive line's a little shaky. Our pass defense is a little shaky. And our running, we had 2 sacks against Rutgers. 2, none by our defensive line. None. We should have beat that team 63 to 17. I'd have been happy. So yeah, I'm a little concerned because we beat a terrible Nebraska team, and we beat a terrible Penn State team, and now we're coming up against 2 opponents that they are ready to go. We'll probably beat both opponents, but it's going to be all we can do to go to Maryland and win that game. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I think, look, to be honest, I'm actually expecting a big blowout on Saturday against Maryland just because they did play, mainly because they did play shaky this past Saturday against Rutgers. I just don't see a way. I think that could have been, this might end up being a good thing. For one, anytime you get a win, it's a good thing. But the 3-0, you still put 49 points up. But giving up 27 points to Rutgers, that might be enough to kind of fire up the team going on the road to say, okay, we kind of got embarrassed last week. Let's make sure we embarrass this Maryland team because they keep tweeting out stupid, cocky things to teams. They've been bad forever, and they're just talking so much smack. I said that the Browns of the Big Ten. Act like you've been there before, Maryland. Come on a little bit.
Well, I just think that Maryland and Indiana, if you compare them to Nebraska, although Nebraska could move the football a little bit with Martinez and McCaffrey, but
yeah.
I think Maryland and Indiana can move the football. And I'm a little concerned with big plays and trick plays. And, I just don't see a defender, not one, who's stepping up and saying, okay, get on my shoulders. I'm gonna carry you. And it just that concerns me. I thought maybe Cooper was the guy, or maybe Hooker in the backfield, but the DBs. But I just don't see the defense as being such a stopping defense that even when we have a bad offensive series, we know our defense is going to stop them. I mean, I see some holes. I'm not complaining. We're 3-0. But other than our QB and our wide receivers, after the first few weeks, I'm kind of scratching my head like, well, I'm not sure where this is going to go, but hope it goes in our favor.
All right, good stuff. Hey, Mark, thanks for being patient on hold. We always appreciate that. You take care. Great hearing from you.
See you guys.
All right, good stuff. 457-9464. Maryland and Indiana. I thought this month of November was just going to be one of those. Well, that song "Wake Me Up When," "Wake Me Up When November Ends." That's that was my thought coming into this season, and now November's shaking up to be pretty good. By the way, speaking of that matchup with Indiana, we now know that there's a kickoff time for that. That'll be a big noon kick a week from Saturday. So
this
is
the 21st.
Yep, on the 21st. So they're coming up this Saturday, Ohio State and Maryland at 3:30 kick, 2:00. Pregame coverage begins right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. A week from Saturday, Indiana, big noon kick. And that will be a 10:30 network pregame right here on 1410 Wing AM. So a lot of good football coming up. And again, months ago, we didn't even think we'd have it. And here we are bitching and complaining because Ohio State gave up 27 points in the to Rutgers. I'll take it. I'll take giving up 27 points to Rutgers in 2020. We weren't even supposed to have a season, so I'll take that all day.
True.
49-27. Buckeyes win. Maryland or Indiana? Which game worries you more? Don't answer that. No. Damn it, Kev.
Thought we were in a full-blown conversation. My bad.
Called a hypothetical. That was a tease. Now, we'll get into that coming up later on. But, yeah, you say Indiana. For me, Maryland worries me just a little. I don't know why. We'll talk about that coming up here around the corner. So, college football playoff polls, I know mean nothing this time of year, but when we come back, Kev and I, we have our polls. We put them out on social media earlier. A lot to debate there. Cincinnati Bearcats, their Twitter handle, they're a little upset. They tweeted out, so let me get this straight. We're undefeated. We get a win, and we move back in the polls. How did they fare in the Justin Kinner poll? How did they fare in the Kev Nash poll? We'll find out next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 78. Tonight's also going to be mostly clear with a low around 56. And tomorrow is going to be partly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 74. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Advance is helping you get your engine ready for the road this holiday season with the right oil, the right filter, at the right price every day. Get 5 quarts of full synthetic Mobil 1, Valvoline, Castrol Edge, or Pennzoil Platinum with the Mobil 1 oil filter for just $33.99. Plus, this holiday season, get a $25 NBA store gift card and 2 times Speed Perks points instantly with the purchase of 5 quarts of Mobil 1. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Studies show that people with good oral health are more likely to have good overall health. That's why it's so important to maintain a healthy diet, to brush your teeth at least twice a day for 2 minutes, to floss once a day, and remember to see your dentist regularly. Ohio Dental Association dentists are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association, so you know you are being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Here's how we long for Skechers Arch Fit shoes. If you've never tried Arch Fit shoes from Skechers, you're missing out on next level comfort. Saying you like comfort but not trying Arch Fit is like saying you like Italian food but you've never tried pasta. Skechers teamed up with podiatrists who used over 20 years of data to create a shoe that provides total foot and arch support for all day comfort. Arch Fit distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have. You don't need an arch problem to love how they feel.
See all the styles of machine washable Arch Fit shoes now at Skechers.com.
At the Home Depot, we improve things. This holiday season, we've improved Black Friday. Instead of one day of crazy, we've lowered prices now, and they'll stay low all season. From decorations to dishwashers, wreaths to ratchet sets. So sleep in. You're not going to miss Black Friday. Not one little bit. Black Friday improved. The best prices of the year already here at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Going to Skyline on Saturdays has always been a tradition for us, so we missed it. Getting back into the restaurant, seeing everybody was a welcome reprieve.
Kids were smiling. People were just happy. Skyline is our comfort food.
What's in store this holiday at your local Staples?
Great deals on the hottest brands.
Staples has this year's must-have gifts for working or learning from home.
Like Apple AirPods, great for video conferences or online classes.
And now at Staples, Apple AirPods Pro are just $194. You save $55.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside.
Get the most wonderful deals on gifts this holiday at Staples.
Ends 11/14. In-store only. Limit 2 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
These days, it's okay to do some things halfway, like wearing your pajama bottoms on a work call. But managing your prescriptions shouldn't be one of them. That's why CVS has a proprietary search tool to find ways that may help lower your prescription costs, and will deliver them for free. No wonder CVS customers are better than most at staying on prescriptions, which tends to make you healthier. Come in or call today and get a free prescription savings review at CVS. Savings vary. Not all patients eligible for savings. Delivery restrictions apply. Visit cvs.com for details.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Congratulations to the Dayton Flyers' Adam Troutman, who caught his first NFL touchdown last night. Of course, he was rated the number 2 tight end in last year's NFL draft coming out of college. And again, Drew Brees last night had 11 completions to 9 different receivers, or and one of them was Adam Troutman. Of course, the Saints absolutely dominated the Buccaneers last night. Shout out to Ron, by the way. Your Bucks looked very Browns-esque. I just want to throw that out there. But no, seriously, shout out to Adam Troutman. We had him on the show literally the day after the NFL draft and had a chance to catch up with him just about what was going through his mind after, it's been a crazy 2020. The draft wasn't what we were expecting as far as, how it was a virtual draft. But the emotional video of him and his family getting to hear his name be called and drafted to the Saints, to get to catch a touchdown. I mean, no matter what happens moving forward for him in his career, he gets to, even if his career ended tomorrow, Kev, he caught a touchdown pass from legendary Drew Brees. I think that's pretty damn cool. So
very
good for
cool,
him.
Very cool, man. And no one saw that blowout coming on Sunday Night Football. I sure didn't.
What's going on, Ron?
31-0 at halftime. Like that's crazy. I didn't expect
Ron's upset. He's using things I can't say on the air now because he's all mad. Because his Buccaneers played like the emoji that he just sent. So
it happens. It happens.
Poor Ron. Maybe you should, follow teams in state. How about that? How about that? 457-9464. Again, shout out to Adam Troutman again with the New Orleans Saints last night, catching his very first career NFL touchdown in the Saints blowout win over the Buccaneers. But 457-9464. We'll take some calls and get you live here on the air. Again, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. And we open the show, of course, with plenty of reaction to Ohio State over the weekend with their win over Rutgers. Interesting nonetheless. But we still got a lot more to get into. We're going to switch gears to the NFL coming up in a moment. We also have our top 25, Kev's top 20 or top 10, and my top 10. Kev, who we got?
We got Charlie.
Charlie, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man. Happy Monday to you guys. How you doing?
Good. Congrats. Another Sunday without a Bengals loss. Congratulations.
Man, it feels great. I got to tell you.
The Browns and Bengals both did not have a loss this past weekend. I mean, Mike, if only every week could be a bye week.
Hey, real quick, if anybody's going southbound on 75 at Benchwood, the highway's shut down. So just don't mean to throw a traffic report in there, but just
no, we appreciate that. Are you kidding me? You're not getting paid for it, but we appreciate that you did that for us.
It's backed up. Well, it's backed up way past 70. So find another way.
No kidding. You didn't get stuck in it, did you? Or are you stuck in it now?
Well, I was just going northbound. I'm almost finished for the day.
Oh, good.
Hey, do you think that Joe? Now, hold on. Do you think that Baker got COVID before any of the other AFC North quarterbacks because he's the smallest and weakest?
Man, now I wish you got stuck in that traffic jam and you couldn't even move the car for hours.
Gracious.
I mean, you're gonna make a joke about COVID. What if he seriously gets sick? You probably wouldn't feel bad. You're not.
I'm not making a joke about COVID. I'm just saying, is that why he was the first one?
I mean, who knows? In fact, he hasn't even tested positive for it. They're just he's being quarantined. That's all.
Okay.
Don't you worry about Baker. He's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be just fine.
Listen, that's all I got for you right now because now I got to turn to Kev Nash.
Kev Nash is on deck. Here he is.
All right, now, yesterday was the first time I've watched the Steelers play an entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how they play every week?
Basically.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, they're short.
That was dramatic.
Short pass. This is the NFL, man. People want all blowouts. This is the NFL, man.
I don't know. I hope Dallas starts that quarterback for the rest of the year, by the way. I thought he looked great, but
he's a former Cleveland Brown, by the way. He was with the Browns last year, so there's that. Okay, that laughter was a little uncalled for, but yes, he was.
Did he not look so great? I'm like, man, I love Andy Dalton, but you got to play that guy over Andy Dalton.
All right, what else you got? You sound like you're tanking on a comedy club right now.
Well, I just want to know what the Steelers are going to be bringing against the number one rated AFC North quarterback, Joe Burrow. How they're going to stack up, what Kev Nash thinks we're looking at. Is this going to be one of these dramatic games? Like, you think the Steelers are going to come out and dominate? Like, what do you think?
Like I said last week, I don't think that Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go 16-0, so they're going to lose eventually. They can lose to a team that's a very good passing team, and the Bengals are a good passing team with a lot of weapons on the outside. The question is, Are the offensive line going to be able to protect Joe Burrow, or is the number one defense in the league going to get to him? The number one sack team in the league, the number one team for tackles for loss in the league. You know, they have a lot of weapons on defense. Like, you know, most of the time we think about weapons on offense. The Steelers have weapons on the defensive line with Cameron Hayward. We have 2 outside linebackers and Bud Dupree and TJ Watt who rush the passer. And then we got a playmaker in the secondary with Mika Fitzpatrick. So we got playmakers at every level of the defense. So good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll tell you the one guy who I thought was pretty impressive that I haven't watched, but of course I've heard about is Chase Claypool, man. That's a solid pick right there.
He's who I had to give credit to, and it pains me. But yes, he has looked good. He's looked good all year. He's looked really good all year.
They always find how they because when you close your eyes and you think about Pittsburgh, you're like that's their defense, you know. But they have been so offensive for so many years now, and they keep just finding these guys. And it's almost like for some of these other teams to do their homework and they think they know offense. And I know that the Bengals, I guess, would fit in this category because we like to pretend that we're the Steelers and we like to build through the draft. But Pittsburgh, man, I don't know who runs their office over there. But, man, they just find guys time and time again. And that trade for Mika, that play made at the end of the game. I know it was a tip ball, but
how many picks does he have in the year? Every game I watch, he has an interception. I mean,
2.
He only has 2? Mm-hmm. That means I've only watched 2 Steelers games this year.
But he has like 2 interceptions.
He's against the Browns. There's the very first damn drive. Baker Mayfield, pick 6 to Fitzpatrick.
No, early in the season, he really wasn't making plays. But then, like, they were playing him like more like in the nickel spot. So he was like guarding like guys in the slot. And now they basically just moved him back to free safety. So he just roams the field, just doing whatever he wants to do now.
I'm excited because I think this is, I think it's Joe's biggest test, obviously, and I don't know what all adjustments they made, to make him sack-free 2 weeks ago, but Steelers are going to be tough, man. I hope we can just put up a fight, but hey, you guys take care. It's good to talk to you guys. Have a good one.
Later, Charlie.
Thanks for the traffic report. So you got the Bengals and Steelers coming up this weekend. Again, Bengals coming out of a bye week with that huge run. I was actually bummed that they had that bye week because I would have loved to see them what they could do with that win over the Titans and to take that and build off that momentum.
Right.
For one, I hate bye weeks. As a fan, I hate it. I literally, when your team's not playing that weekend, like this past weekend, I'm so glad that it was such a big college football weekend. Like there was a lot of great games. There was a lot of big happenings in college football. It made up for my team not playing on Sunday. And even the Bengals, they are a big part of my Sundays. As much as I bash them, just so you guys know, and this is the thing about the Bengals, you got to understand, they don't care how you watch them. They just want you to watch them. So even if I'm hate watching them, I'm watching them. Mm-hmm. Even if you're hate listening to this show right now, I appreciate you listening. I don't really care how you listen. I just want you to listen. Hate listen, enjoy listening. I don't care. Still trying to feel it out. I'm fine. Just listen. So with the Bengals, I hate watch, but I at least watch. But it was miserable not having the Browns or Bengals on yesterday. I tell you that much. Still a lot of really good football games around the NFL.
Ton of games were on, man. Obviously, the Steelers, Cowboys game was good. Dolphins and Cardinals game was real good. So it's a lot of good football on.
Right now, Pittsburgh is a 7.5-point favorite at home, welcoming in Cincinnati. Now, I can't tell if it's just delusional Bengals fans or not, but I have seen so many predictions on social media already that I'm not buying in. I'm definitely not going to pick the Bengals to win, but my goodness, it's either everyone just drinking at the same time and posting on social media. There are so many Bengals fans who have predicted an upset this coming up Sunday. Are you willing to go that far?
I won't go that far yet. But like I said last week, I can see a team like the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Pittsburgh Steelers with that passing attack.
Here's why I don't see that happening, not just because I like to hate on the Bengals, but here's why I don't see the Bengals beating the Steelers. The Steelers played really, really bad yesterday. They played really bad. They're not playing really bad 2 weeks in a row.
They played bad the week before too versus the Ravens, and then they played
you. But I don't believe you play bad against the Ravens. I believe that you play ugly against the Ravens because they're just that type of team.
Fair.
If they would have played bad teams back-to-back weeks and looked that way, I'd be concerned. But I also we need to hear more about Big Ben's health status moving forward. I mean, he got beat up in that Cowboys game somehow, but he's fragile. He's fragile.
He's faking.
But because they look so bad against Dallas, I'm not going to bet on them looking bad again next week. I agree. They looked ugly against Baltimore, but I'm not willing to say they played bad against Baltimore, mainly because Baltimore makes a lot of teams play ugly.
That's
that
fair.
Defense is good. Dallas, that was just an ugly game from top to bottom. The offense didn't look in sync. Actually, they looked solid in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, they basically ditched the running game because they couldn't run the ball at all. Dallas was run blitzing the entire game. So basically they scrapped the run and just went to a spread, hurry up offense.
Yep.
And just spread them out with Claypool, Juju, Ebron, Deontay Johnson, and Washington that just said, all right, we're just going to pass because we can't run the ball.
Ebron on my fantasy team, by the way.
You're welcome.
I've won 4 straight. I went from having no shot to winning any of my fantasy teams to all of a sudden having a really good shot here. I feel pretty good. My Eliminator League, like I said, Pittsburgh won me some money. They kept me alive for money. There was 5 left. So of our 5 people in our Eliminator League, 3 of us picked Pittsburgh. The other 2 picked Arizona. And, of course, my guy, all right, top 2 rookie quarterback in the National Football League behind Justin Herbert, leads the Fins to a win, man. All of a sudden, who would have thought of it? Dolphins, Bills battling it out for that division with the Patriots trying to figure out where they're going to be drafting. So, in fact, the Patriots have the Jets coming up later on tonight, Monday Night Football. So,
who was watching that?
I think that people forgot. I mean, this is Monday night, not Thursday night. This is the type of matchup you save for Thursdays. My goodness. All right, we have our college football top 10 coming up around the corner. We'll also take a look at some of the top takeaways from the National Football League over the weekend. The Browns and Bengals both didn't play, but which matchups had your attention? Which games were you watching over the weekend? I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about the AFC North coming up around the corner as well, because the Ravens almost lost, and had the Ravens lost, it would have created a very interesting look in that AFC North. And honestly, would have helped the Cleveland Browns. But we're going to talk about the AFC North around the corner, more of your Bengals, more of your Browns. Also, we'll get back into some college football with the Justin Kinner top 10, Kev Nash top 10, more Ohio State talk as well. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Try Vicks VapoCool Drops in Honey Lemon Chill for a fast-acting relief of honey lemon. Not to mention a soothing chill. So remember, Vicks VapoCool Drops are honey lemon and honey lemon. Yeah, Honey Lemon Chill. Get fast-acting relief with Vicks VapoCool Drops in Honey Lemon Chill. Use as directed.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Susie, I love you. Your skin is soft, like a fresh leather interior.
Oh, Joe.
Your smell is intoxicating, like that of a new tire.
You always know how to make me blush.
So this year I got you something special.
Tires! Touring tires with an asymmetrical tread design.
Yeah, and a free alignment with standard installation.
It's just what I've always wanted.
Susie doesn't know that Joe saved $150 at tire discounters. This holiday, say it with tires.
All those mouths to feed. So many different cravings.
In a world filled with endless dinner options, lives a family ravaged by hunger. The answer lies with one man. No, not just a man, a king, a pizza king.
Get a large Casano's Deluxe Pizza for $15.99 or a large pepperoni for just $12.99. Call 294-KING and see for yourself why the proof is in the taste.
Pizza King.
My name is Kate Courtley, and this is my new show, Can You Survive This Podcast? I'll be drawing on my years as a former Navy SEAL platoon commander, sniper, and CIA contractor. The show is designed to teach you techniques that will increase your chances of survival if you happen to find yourself or your family in any life-threatening disaster scenario imaginable. Subscribe and listen for free on Spotify. Can You Survive This Podcast?
If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance. Save money with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote.
Follow ESPN 1410 Wing AM on Facebook to watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Listen, stream, and now watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Listen, stream, and now watch. You can listen to us at 1410 Wing AM. You can stream us live at wingam.com. And, of course, don't forget you can watch us live on Facebook and on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. There's so many ways you could watch the show, too, and there's definitely a big interactive element there as well. Anytime you comment on in the show in the chat at the bottom, we could bring your chat into the show and interact with you that way. And, of course, you can always give us a call at 457-9464. Buckeye fans flooded the phone lines to start the show with reaction. There are certain games doing this for a few years. Like there's just certain matchups that Ohio State has, Kev, where I can always anticipate, okay, they're going to play. There's going to be no big takeaways from this game. There'll be no big takeaways from Ohio State Rutgers. It'll just be one of those, hey, Ohio State wins big and off you go. But this, there was enough iffy things to happen that, I think people were concerned about. And there were even, what my favorite thing is, Kev, is there was enough iffy things during the game. And we heard a caller earlier, I think it was Shaw, who said, I knew watching them that you were going to spin it to be blah, blah, blah. There was enough that Buckeye fans were getting defensive about what they were watching too. And I just like to point out the hypocrisies and everything about, we don't give the benefit of the doubt to Maryland. We don't mess with Maryland anyways. We don't give the benefit of the doubt to Alabama or Clemson and programs like that. So I just want to make sure that we keep that same energy when it comes to watching Ohio State. I think that there's nothing wrong in just saying, yeah, my team didn't play good this week. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I have no clue at what point in the history of the sporting world that we got to the point to where we as fans are not allowed to say, yeah, our team just looked bad. And that drives me crazy. I don't know why that's a sin. I have no clue why fans get so angry if they tune on the radio and someone is saying, man, Ohio State, they gave it 27 points to Rutgers. What's this idiot know? Well, 27 points to Rutgers. Who cares? They had their second string guys. Relax, folks. Relax. It's not a big deal. I mean, the stuff I'm getting on social media, the anger, just because I pointed it out is unbelievable to me. It is okay. It is okay to just sometimes say, yeah, my team didn't play great. And what's great about Ohio State is when they don't play great, you still win 49-27. And that's all that matters. The updated college football rankings came out today. We're just a couple weeks away from the very first college football rankings, which I'm excited about that. This is my favorite time of year, right at this point where we're wrapping, actually technically the season was extended, so we're not wrapping it up yet, but about to start the college football playoff conversation, the scenarios, the resumes, that team's not that hot. Oh, that win's not that great. Oh, man, they're not ranked anymore. Blah, blah. Like, I love those arguments. There's nothing better in sports than these arguments that we're about to embark on here in the coming weeks, and it's fantastic. So here's the updated top 25. I'm just going to pay attention to the top 5 at least, or top 6 as far as the AP is concerned. The AP top 25, Kev, they moved Alabama up 1 to number 1. Mm-hmm. They moved Notre Dame up to number 2 after beating number 1 Clemson. Or Notre Dame, of course, jumps up 2 spots from number 4. Ohio State with the win over Rutgers, they stay where they are at number 3. Clemson moves back 3 spots from number 1 to number 4. So technically, if this was the college football playoff ranking, we're looking at Clemson still being in, which I'm fine with. As I said, as long as these games are close, you're allowed to lose close in college football. People all the time, oh, if you're Ohio State, you can't lose. You can lose, just don't get blown out by 30 to Iowa. Oh, Alabama loses. Yeah, they don't lose by 30 to Purdue. So there are rules even within losses that you have to follow to be able to still be eligible for the college football playoff. Bottom line is the top 4 I agree with: Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson. We can debate, the order of those 4, but I'm fine with it. The AP has Texas A&M coming in at number 5. How about Florida? Another big win. They move up 2 spots to number 6. Cincinnati drops to number 7. They move back a spot after a 38 whatever. I don't even remember what the score was for that game. 38-10. So 38-10, the final in their matchup from over the weekend. Again, it were whatever. I mean, who they played, it just wasn't a sexy opponent. But that's the reality for the Bearcats moving forward when you look at that. But Cincinnati moves back. And then, of course, on Twitter, and we're going to give our top 25 coming up here at the top of the hour here in hour 3. But, Cincinnati football, they tweet this out. They're mad that they're number 7, which I have no clue how you could be mad that you're number 7. I mean, technically you moved back, so I get why you're upset. But the Cincinnati Bearcats are mad that they're at number 7. Their social media, their Twitter page says, after winning yesterday's game by 28 points to remain undefeated on the season, the Bearcats, ... checks notes, drop in both of this week's polls. And then, of course, everyone is just playing the victim card here. You agree with them for being upset for being moved back, correct?
I don't necessarily. I get why they moved back, because other teams below them had bigger wins than them. Not necessarily bigger in point spread, but bigger opponents that they beat.
Yep.
UC beat their opponent by 4 touchdowns. But Florida beat Georgia, who we deem as a pretty solid team, by 17. So I understand why Florida would jump them. I get that. I understand that. But I also understand from where they're coming from. Like, we're doing everything we can do. So, and that's what social media is about. You're selling your brand. You're out there selling it. Because best believe, if Bama, matter of fact, we ain't even got to do the hypothetical. We saw it on Saturday night with Dabo. He started selling Clemson the moment they lost to Notre Dame. Started selling them. So that's what this whole thing is. It's selling your program. It's selling your program not only to recruits, but to the voters, to make sure you're back up in that top 4, because once you're in the top 4 and you're in the college football playoff, you got a chance to win the national championship. So that's all they're doing. They're selling their program. They want to be invited to the big party. They're selling it, not only selling it on the football field by some pretty resounding victories, but they're also selling it on social media, where they know a lot of this stuff happens. A lot of this interactions on social media. This is where the ground storm happens, on social media.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash against Cincinnati. They moved back in the rankings despite a 28-point win over Houston. Now, that's the problem. It was over Houston. I know you brought up the blowout win that Florida had over Georgia, but that's where the weight comes into. I mean, we're not looking at – no one is saying, well, they both blew out their opponents. Who blew out their opponent by more? The opponents matter. People say wins matter. Well, opponents matter. Like the opponents do. And sometimes there's a certain point when I'm giving my opinion on this where my opinion really doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's a legit fact that the opponents matter, which is why the whole narrative of it's either you're a non-power 5. If you're not a non-power 5, you have no shot. The reason that narrative exists is because the whole mindset of your opponents matters. Who you play matters. And it doesn't matter. There's a certain point where you're going to get rewarded enough, like Cincinnati. You're being recognized. The fact that you're even in the hunt for number 6 or number 7, or even feeling like you're so close, that's your reward. You're rewarded for your winning. You're rewarded for being a good, solid program. But there comes a certain point where the ceiling is you know what? You can keep winning, but who you beat is just not good enough to outrank what other teams are doing. And again, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I am. I feel like I'm going to keep repeating myself on this each week, because I feel like every week I read the same tweets from Bearcats fans, and I'm just like, at a certain point, reality is what it is. And the reality is, as I tweeted out earlier today and talked about on the show on Friday, the college football playoff has never been about the 4 best teams. And I'm not even convinced Cincinnati is one of the 4 best teams, but it has never been about the 4 best teams. It is always and always will continue to be about the 4 best resumes. The college football playoff rewards the 4 best resumes each and every year. And as far as I'm concerned, Cincinnati, no matter what they do the rest of the year, they can beat their opponents by 40 for the rest of the season. It will not matter. Cincinnati cannot get in my opinion, as long as they are what they are. So that's why I'm concerned about Cincinnati as far as that goes. When you take a look at that, Cincinnati coming in at number 7, they drop back. It's not about the 4 best teams. Unfortunately, it's about the 4 best resumes. And Cincinnati, I just don't think is going to be able to compete with that. So Alabama comes in at number 1, Notre Dame 2, Ohio State 3, and Clemson at number 4. But yeah, Cincinnati, I get it. I know what you're saying. But at a certain point, there's a ceiling for Cincinnati. No matter how many blowouts they beat their opponents by moving forward, there's a ceiling. And I think that the AP top 25 and even the coaches poll, I think the coaches poll should worry them more than the AP. The AP means nothing technically. The coaches, though, are telling you what they believe. They're telling you what they believe about the Bearcats. Sorry, Kev. They're telling you what they believe about the Bearcats. I mean, they even moved them back. The AP moved them back, and the coaches poll moved them back. So phones are coming. Phones are lighting up. I want to talk about the Bearcats, and that's fine. I'm not beating up on the Bearcats. I'm just saying I'm acknowledging that they're really good. In fact, I mean, I'm watching what Luke Fickell is continuing to do from the time we ended the show Friday. He's had some other big commit to the program, and they're legit big time commits. So it's for real. I'm buying into what he's doing, but I think it's going to be another year before, as I've talked about too, how recruiting matters. I think that sometimes Georgia, they've lost twice, and they've lost ugly twice, and they're still fringe top 10. They should not be fringe top 10. But
at some point,
but
you
the
have
recruiting
to
rankings, I think.
Yeah. I just think that's totally bogus. You have to reward winning and penalize losing. Okay, Georgia, they recruit in the top 3 every year, but guess what? You're losing. Yep. So those recruits ain't doing the trick. They're not doing what you need them to do, which is win games. So them being still near the top 10 is bogus. They've been blown out. They've been twice. Yeah. In the first half in both games, it's tight in the first half. In the second half, you got your doors blown off. So in a half of football, you're not competing at all. So I don't want to hear anything about Georgia for the rest of the year. They're donezo.
I'm done with it too. But this is the problem for the committee. They created this crap storm. They're telling you resumes matter. But then with Georgia, they're telling you talent matters. With Cincinnati, they're technically telling you talent matters. Cincinnati, we know you're good, but we're looking at the players that are good for you right now. We're looking at where they fell on your recruiting rankings and stuff. And it's okay, you have a couple good players, but as a whole, we know that this team is not better than Florida. But if all of a sudden Cincinnati has a top 10 recruiting class, and then that class a couple years from now is right in this same situation, they're probably going to get a little bit more love because the committee is going to honor we know this is a talented team. They're doing it with Georgia. The problem is they need to come right down the middle and say 4 best resumes make the playoff, or the 4 best talented teams, because there is no it's so up in the air on how they do this, and they have to be careful because you can't just say the 4 best resumes, because Buckeye fans, put your seatbelts on if you're in your cars. If we're going to play the resume game, Ohio State needs to get their ass out of the top 4 because their resume is not good.
Wait till Indiana comes to town, baby.
But no, do you see what I'm saying? Ohio State needs to be in the top 4, but this is where the committee, talking out of both sides of their mouth, although they haven't really put a poll out yet, but it's going to reflect very similarly. They're not going to reward Cincinnati because their resume is not good, but then they're going to turn around and tell you that Ohio State has beat nobody, right. But yet they're right up there. That's the problem I have as far as that goes. And I think it's going to continue to be the topic of conversation moving forward, but I love it. So
I get what you're saying. I just think that basing teams' rankings off a recruiting class is totally unfair. I just think that's totally unfair. I think you can base it off the eyeball test. I think you can base it off the teams that you've beaten and your level of competition. That's all fine and dandy. If you want to say UC is not worthy because they play in the American, they don't play in one of the Power Fives, I can handle that. But what I can't handle is you ranking a team that has been blown out twice so highly. You have to punish teams for losing. I don't care who their head coach is, how many 5-star guys they got, how many guys they're sending to the NFL, how many times they've beaten X amount of opponents in the conference that means the most. At some point, it's about wins and losses.
Yep.
And Georgia has 2 blowout losses to teams that are in the top 10, and apparently they're not top 10 material because they get blown out. because you will penalize a lesser team, a quote unquote lesser team from a lesser conference. You will penalize them heavily if they lost in that fashion. So that's where I go down with recruiting. I know college football is based around recruiting the Jimmies and the Joes and all that type of stuff. I got you. But at some point, it is about winning and losing. And right now, Georgia is losing, and not only losing, they're getting blown out in 2 quarters.
All right, 457-9464 Bearcat fans. What is the true criteria to get into the college football playoff? Because every time a caller will call in, they'll say, well, this, and this matters. But I can counter with why another 3 bullet points matters too, to counter yours. And you can find 3 to counter mine. And then we're just talking in circles. The committee created the perfect formula for them to just say, we're going to pick the 4 teams we want one way or another, because we've put out non-tangible criteria out there. Or we put out so much criteria out there that really we have 10. If you put out 10 bullet points of criteria, you can justify any team you want to put in the playoff. But no matter what 4 points you picked and why you put a team in, there's 4 to justify keeping them out, and they ignore those. So that's what's fun about this moving forward. But Cincinnati, they're interesting. But I do believe they are not getting in no matter what happens moving forward. And yeah, but the messages are mixed. You can't say that Georgia's talented enough to remain on the outside looking in by just a smidge of the top 10 after they've been blown out twice, but then say resumes matter, so we can't put the Bearcats in. But you have Ohio State, who's played literally nobody, and now all of a sudden it drives me nuts. Like, what is their criteria? So let's talk a little bit more about that coming up. Bearcat fans are calling in now, 457-9464. We'll get to your calls and our rankings next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Leave your sister alone. You're ready to get back into yoga, so you order the essentials. A non-slip mat, yoga blocks to keep balance, and an exercise ball. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential yoga gear. Noise-canceling headphones.
Welcome. Take a deep breath. Breathe.
Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
O'Reilly. Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, windshield washer fluid, and more. Get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs, plus earn double O Rewards points. Get ready for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Mucinex presents Trusted Allies of Doctors. Throughout history, doctors have used tools they trust to help them treat your illnesses. But what do they trust when they have a cough and cold? Mucinex, the #1 brand doctors trust.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are out. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. Or facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Hour 3 with you here on a Monday. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. Regardless of what political side you fall on, I think it's dumb not to sit here and act like, we get a new president in the United States and to act like it doesn't happen because we're afraid of upsetting one side or the other. We're not going to go on a deep dive into politics, but congratulations to Joe Biden and, of course, Kamala Harris being president-elect and, vice president-elect January 20th, the inauguration and everything. So we have that coming up when they're sworn in around the corner in 2021. I expect a roller coaster between now and then. Keep hearing it's far from over. Again, we're not taking calls on politics, but we just wanted to make sure we bring that up, that, it's still an exciting time in our country, regardless if the person you don't like wins or the person you like wins. That's just part of this country. So people, one side was upset 4 years ago. A new side is upset 4 years later. And that's kind of where we're at with that. Again, not taking a deep dive into the political conversation, but I think it's dumb to not bring that up. That's a huge thing happening in our country right now. And there you go.
Deep dive. Adrian said the finale of 2020 is going to be something for the books.
Here we go. And then the stupid comments already rolling in. Shaw, media doesn't declare the president, just saying, Shaw, go the hell away. Just go away. Go away. We bring it. I don't care if I piss you off with saying that. Just go away. Go away. I'm just saying. There's that. How about that? All right. 457-9464. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. So Cincinnati, too, keep in mind coming in, reaction to that. We get a lot of reaction to that where they come in on the rankings. What's their ceiling before we get back to the phone calls? How far is there a shot? Is there a path through?
Definitely.
Without the mindset of, well, sure, if these three teams lose and all these teams just lose, crumbling down to the bottom. Yes, that. But if it does come down to an undefeated Cincinnati and a one-loss SEC team and a one-loss Big Ten team, then what? Where are we at with that as far as that? I don't think they have a shot resume to match up that way. I
think for UC, what they're hoping for is Ohio State to run the table, Bama to run the table, and now Notre Dame to run the table. Because if Notre Dame runs the table, that means they beat Clemson twice. I don't think that there's a situation out there where you can put in a potential 2-loss Big 12 team in the college football playoff. So that's their shot. If the Pac-12 champion is undefeated, then they're in too. But they got to hope that Ohio State runs the table, Notre Dame runs the table, Bama runs the table, a Big 12 champion has 2 losses, and a Pac-12 champion has 2 losses. That's their only way. That's the only way.
Yeah, too. And, I think Cincinnati's also, they're being punished for being ranked to. This is why the AP screwed up when they ranked teams where they did. You ranked them on where there wasn't conferences playing. The Big Ten wasn't playing yet. The Pac-12 wasn't playing yet. But they were still putting Cincinnati high anyways. I said Cincinnati too was being rewarded for a lot of teams not participating early on in the college football season. And now that they're coming back, you're starting to see them kind of get punished a little bit, like Indiana cracking the top 10. There's teams cracking the top 10 and moving up, and who are getting more wins after more wins. So to me, Cincinnati is kind of being punished a little bit for teams coming back. So that's what's interesting about how this is going to be treated. But no, I don't think Cincinnati gets in, but I think they're an interesting story moving forward and one that we'll definitely keep an eye on. Let's go to the phones, 457-9464. Who we got first, Kev?
We got Ed back.
Ed, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, guys.
Hey,
I want to continue with. I was on earlier. I had to go, but Nash called. Man, I've never heard a Michigan caller that's cool as him. That guy, I could actually sit down and watch a Michigan Ohio State with that guy. I mean, he was just so objective. But the thing about Harbaugh I don't understand is they're paying this guy, $7 million a year? Where is the alumni? If that was Ryan Day going 0-3, there would be so much heat. Where's the heat on Harbaugh?
Well, for there to be heat, you have to have, like, so for instance, I always use it like this. If you're in a relationship and some of the excitement has kind of, gone away, but like if you don't have someone better, you just stick with who you're with, right? Like you just put out, you continue to try to just see the good in the other person, even though the relationship's crap. But it's going to take someone hot to come along to say, okay, I'm done with this person. I'm going over here. That's what Michigan is doing. They're like, we know that, the Michigan has a confidence issue. They don't feel they could do better. So they're going to stick in this crap relationship until they start flirting with someone else better looking. And then all of a sudden they'll get their attention and then they'll finally move on. So that's my little relationship analogy right there. I think that's what's going on with Michigan. I think the second that a sexy candidate kind of arrives, I think it'll be easier for Michigan to start waving the flag of moving on from Harbaugh. It could be Luke Fickell. It could be, a lot of guys. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that it's going to be interesting what happens moving forward. Fickell would be interesting. I don't think that's who they would go for, but it would be interesting if that happened.
The thing I got to ask is, when's his contract up?
Oh, that don't matter. Contracts don't matter.
Right, but man, I mean, they're not getting no bang for their buck. I'll tell you that.
No,
I can't believe if he was performing at a high level, but my gosh, can you imagine if you're the guy paying Harbaugh? It's coming out of your pocket. Oh my gosh!
Oh, you're definitely not getting bang for your buck. I promise you that much. And of course, Shaw, Mr. Facts, he wears that badge proud, saying Fickell's not on the list. That will never happen.
I tell you, Shaw, I want to send just the handshake to that guy. That guy is the coolest Michigan fan I've ever heard. He's he's objective. He's cool.
So cool.
I wish all Michigan fans were like that. I could sit down and watch Ohio State, Michigan.
All right. Now, before you two kiss, now, is there anything else that you have? You called earlier about Ohio State. What else about Ohio State? What takeaways did you have as far as that goes?
I actually didn't see the second half. Maybe it was my fault.
I think, you're fine. You checked out of the second half, and I'll fill you in. They checked out as well. So I think that was the problem. And they still won 49-27.
Like Nash was saying, Kirk Combs has never been a defensive coordinator, which I don't like that. But you're mixing. I don't know. Did they bring the whole second team defense in, or did they mix and match in the third quarter?
And mix and match. Look, the game is just. It was right. I was just hoping to see more of their offensive weapons, but going to be interesting how that goes. But Ed, good hearing from you, man.
All right, thanks a lot.
Adios. Another name that just got floated in that Mark. We're talking about Fickell at Cincinnati, but Marcus Freeman. At Cincinnati, but Marcus Freeman most likely could potentially be the next head coach at Cincinnati whenever Fickell leaves. I'm a big Marcus Freeman fan, but hey, that kind of makes a little sense. But I think that they would have to go for a splash, right? But you went for the splash and it didn't work. Marcus Freeman would be interesting if I'm Michigan. Now, I doubt it, but I'm just saying it would be interesting as far as that. I think Luke Fickell, regardless of how good a job he does with Cincinnati, they're not going to be able to overlook the fact that he's a Buckeye. That you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see how that's good. I don't know why you're rolling your eyes at that. I've had 2 or 3 former Buckeyes tell me that same exact thing. That's why. So there.
Hey man. Well, you were just screaming that to me last week about Urban Meyer going to Florida State. You saying I said it was no way. You rolled your eyes.
I rolled my eyes because what rivalry is close to Ohio State, Michigan? Not that. That ain't nearly the same.
I mean, we live in Ohio.
You can tilt your head to the side all you want. I'm just saying.
If you lived in Florida, you say the same thing about that.
What?
Does you say the same thing?
Ohio State, Michigan, there's nothing that comes close to it. That's the conversation here. Like, this isn't the same. We saw, Spurrier did it. So, I mean, we've seen Spurrier and others who leave their programs that they like to go to, into a competing school. I mean, don't matter.
Not to their rival school. I don't necessarily think that the Fickle thing is that far-fetched. I mean, I'm not in the fan base, so I wouldn't know the intricacies of how, like, their fan base views former Buckeye coaches and all that type of stuff. But we do know that their best coach of all time was a former Ohio coach. You know what I'm saying? He coached in the state of Ohio and everything like that. He was a protege of Woody and all that type of stuff. So, all that brings back all those type of feels. But just get the best available coach. And let's be clear, he hasn't been fired yet. We don't know how the season's going to end, but we do know 3 games into the season. And I was the main one saying, man, week 1, they looked real good. Week 1, they did look real good versus Minnesota. But, after 2 straight losses, one to a rival in Michigan State, this one at noon when the world is watching, well, at least I was watching. I was one of the losers that stayed in the house at 70-degree weather on Saturday. But, a lot of people watching, like, you can say the college football fan base is starting to question, is Harbaugh the guy? And is no secret that every AD has a short list of people that they would call if they had to make a decision on who they would go get. I don't know who they would go get. I mean, obviously, from my seat, I say, why not go after Fickle? Like, what would be the problem with that? But, I'm not a Michigan fan.
Kerry Coombs would make a lot of sense to me, too.
Ohio State.
No, he's not an Ohio State guy. He's on their staff. There's a difference, though. He's not from Ohio. He didn't play at Ohio State. That Fickle checks too many of those boxes off for that to make any sense.
Didn't one of the Bourne brothers play at Michigan and then transfer to Ohio State?
And
I'm just saying, like,
we're talking about the head coach. We're not talking about.
I'm just saying, man. Like, I don't view it that way, man. If people is cutting checks out here, like, they're gonna do it, man. Like, if Michigan cuts him a big enough check, he'll go. If they want him,
I don't care about Fickle. Fickle, of course, will go. They won't want him, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah. I thought it was the vice versa. I thought you were saying that he wouldn't go because
of course
he's a
he would. He probably would. That's a good job for Fickle. They wouldn't want him. I'm looking at it from that perspective, which is stupid, by the way. I'm actually advocating for Fickle to go there. They're the stupid program that wouldn't take him. So now I think we're kind of back in the same gear.
Gotcha.
I'm saying they're the dumb ones for not wanting him because of that connection. Not
one more time.
Dumb. They're the dumb ones for not wanting him. So are we agreeing? We went through all of that. We consulted everything. So we good. We're on the same page.
We agree. One more time. One time.
So fine. They were the dumb ones for not wanting him. But I believe that's why they would. And like talking with Byers earlier, and he said, Broadnax and them too, we're all having that same conversation with that same thing. That Michigan, there's no way in hell that they would do that. But that is how dumb that program is that you would turn down a good quality coach because, well, I need a Michigan guy because look how good the Michigan guy worked for us last time. Go Michigan, go Michigan. In fact, I lied. I actually support that. Keep going that direction.
What about like a Matt Campbell from Iowa State? He's a Midwest guy.
We've been talking about Campbell forever. Campbell's always available for every damn job. But yet, where's Iowa State? What's Iowa State do? I've never seen a coach do less with the team, but yet always be brought up every time a big coaching position's open. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it is weird for a guy in a program that literally does nothing every year, yet gets brought up in every single major coaching conversation. Texas. Hell, his name was brought up at Ohio State back when it opened up under Urban Meyer. And I was like, what the hell is going on? But right, like Iowa State, what do they do? Like every year, you could agree with me from the standpoint of at least this, of they're rarely in any kind of significant playoff conversation, but yet every year that's the name that we're bringing up as far as being the next guy, the next big, coaching search as far as that goes. But Marcus Freeman, I like Marcus Freeman. I doubt it. That was a big, gap to jump. But he's doing, Fickle's benefiting from the job Freeman's doing. Freeman's the one that is on a tear recruiting wise, and yet Fickle's there saying, "Look who I got." Freeman's the one out doing all the damn recruiting work. I'm a big Freeman fan, so that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm team Marcus Freeman.
Now, obviously, everybody here, especially in this region, is a huge Marcus Freeman fan because obviously he went to Wayne High School, went to play on at Ohio State. He's doing a tremendous job on that defensive end and a great job recruiting. This is just something that we all know, especially in this region. He is making sure that it's going to be difficult for the Michigan States to get back on track, difficult for Kentucky to continue to be on track because he's gobbling up all, and I'm talking about all the guys that are just below the Ohio State line. He's gobbling them up. You know, those guys that end up going like Le'Veon Bell, that are from Columbus, Ohio, that end up going to Michigan State.
I always forget that.
They ain't going there no more. They're going to go to UC. The guys like, I'm drawing a blank on his name. But anyway, Darren Lee, a guy that Fickle found playing quarterback from Columbus, 3-star recruit. You know what? We're going to take you from a quarterback to a linebacker and make you a superstar at Ohio State. They're not going to Michigan State. Matter of fact, they probably won't even go to Ohio State no more because they don't have those type of guys hunting and finding these quote unquote lower level guys. They're going to UC. So that's what UC is building. And to be perfectly honest, the coaches like that, those are the ones that excel the most because they're not only coaching up the talent, they're finding talent that coaches aren't looking for.
Here's the problem. This is why Cincinnati, I always feel bad for that program because I agree with you. We've seen multiple coaches get Cincinnati on the brink and then
they bail.
Right. That's why I'm not the reason that I don't buy into any of the Cincinnati hype. Oh man, he's building something there. He's building his resume. I hope he's building them up because in essence, it helps him resume-wise down the road. But are you looking to set up shop long-term or are you looking to just, man, if I just kick ass recruiting here in the early going and I'm on the first plane out of here to that first big job that calls me. And by the way, I don't give him credit. Stop giving him credit for not taking that Michigan State job. There was a bunch of investigations. Remember at that time? Yeah. This is why I was nauseated when he was being picked up and said, oh, he's what's great about football. He's not taking the big job because he can get it done with the little guy. No, if Michigan State didn't have all these investigations leading into the program, he would be leading the Spartans right now, which I'm fine with. I don't mind coaches moving up and moving on. But what I don't buy into is when we do this thing about Cincinnati where we're like, oh, they're laying the bricks, the foundation for the program moving forward. The problem is you start laying the bricks, you get halfway up, and then the contractor doesn't return to finish the job. And then you have a wall that you started, and then the wall doesn't get completed, and then you just have half a wall. So that's what I mean by that as far as that goes. So if you're going to build a wall, build the whole wall. Don't just start the wall and say, you know what, I'm going to go take this job over here. If you are him, as far as I'm concerned, what?
Nothing. So I'm saying nothing.
So Fickle, all right, those are the facts, right?
Yeah, they're the facts.
So, but no, that's my concern. Can it be done at Cincinnati? Probably, but it takes a little time. Like when, he's laying in these recruiting classes, that's fine, but it doesn't take one recruiting class.
Yes.
It takes, okay, so now he's kicking ass with this one in 2022. Then after this year, okay, now you stockpile 2023, 2024. Then damn, by 2025, you have 3 years of these dominant recruiting classes. So Fickle's big time success is actually years down the road with Cincinnati that he's building now, but he won't be here to reap those rewards. So that's why a guy like Marcus Freeman is so important. I mean, not for Michigan, but I think Marcus Freeman's next up in line in Cincinnati.
Right.
So Fickle really is doing a good job of setting this program up for long-term success because Freeman's the one out on the main guy in the recruiting trail. He can keep a good chunk of those guys and keep building on that. Cincinnati might be set up for long-term success regardless of Fickle or not, and it could be Freeman who reaps the rewards of that.
That would be awesome. You're right. Brian Kelly built them up and then went to Notre Dame. But I mean, I'm a big UC guy. I'm swinging the UC banner and everything like that. But it is Notre Dame, man. Like I understand, like people, Notre Dame hasn't been relevant since Lou Holtz and everything like that. But they have their own network for a reason. Like it's Notre Dame. So a guy going to Notre Dame, you kind of get it. But if I'm a UC guy on the football team and my coach does bail and it's not to a Notre Dame, a Texas, an Ohio State, like one of the, power bloods of this thing we love, college football, I am feeling the type of way. If to be perfectly honest, if Fickle would have went to Michigan State, I would feel a way if I was on that team. I feel that way about that. But if Fickle sticks around, matter of fact, if Fickle bails to a good gig, maybe not a great gig, but a good gig, whatever that gig may be, and Freeman is there, I can see what you're talking about. I can see them continuing to build. The thing about UC, they're always on the outside looking in, no matter what, because the doors got closed on them when they tried to make the move to the Big Ten decades ago.
Yep.
Doors got closed on them when they tried to wiggle their way in to the Big 12. So that they're one of those fringe teams that can become a big dog, but they have nowhere to go. They have no home to make sure that they become that power, because if you're in a Power 5 conference in the state of Ohio, you're going to become a big dog. It's just how it works because we have so much talent here.
Yeah, and see, I think last thing here, and then we're going to get back to the phones, but this Cincinnati situation, the talk of Cincinnati reminds me of the last couple of years of Archie Miller's run here in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same thing. That's why I laugh at Cincinnati fans who are singing me the same song and dance that Flyers fans used to feed me about Archie. It was, well, Archie's not going to go anywhere. Archie can win here. He's already proven it. He's already taken the team to Elite Eight. Look, they're on the brink of being top 25, which was funny because we thought that was the glory year. And then all of a sudden you look at 2020 and it's like, I think Flyers fans would take what we experienced last year over anything that we experienced with Archie. I know it's a weird question. I've asked this to Schlemmer before back when him and I were doing the show, but what was more to Flyers fans? What was more impressive? Was it the Elite Eight run, NCAA tournament, or what they accomplished in the regular season in 2020? We can debate that coming up around the corner. But the Cincinnati thing reminds me of this. Oh, Fickle, he ain't going to go anywhere. Cincinnati will pay him. He'll be fine. He could win here. Mm-hmm. The problem is you can win here, but it's 10 times more difficult to win out of this conference than it would be to go win at the Big Ten. You go to the weak side of the Big Ten and go undefeated every year. You have an automatic ticket to the Big Ten championship, and you have you're always going to be in the playoff conversation. The talk was out of the A-10. Now, I know last year Flyers fans will say, oh, well, look, I mean, Anthony Grant proved that you could do it. Do it every single year moving forward, and then we can have that conversation. It was a great year last year. I'm not saying they can't do it again, but it's difficult to do that consistently out of the A-10. That's why it's such a magical story.
Take a look at Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Like Mark Few has been there for decades.
And it takes that.
And to be perfectly honest, this is college football. This isn't college basketball. It is way more difficult because in college basketball, once you're in the tournament, you're technically playing for the championship. 68 spots. So you don't even have to win, especially Gonzaga. They built up that equity that I talk about, that they're going to get one of those automatic bids. They're going to get one of those bids to the tournament, and they're playing for the national championship. In a UC situation in football, you're not going to be invited to the big dance unless it's a COVID year. And there's two lost team from the Big 12 and a 2-loss team from the Pac-12. And you go undefeated. That is your only way to make it to the big dance.
Here's a good one. I didn't think about that. Let me put the bow on that UD thing real quick. So that was my point. Cincinnati fans are acting like UD fans years ago with Archie Miller. He's not going anywhere. He can win here. They'll pay him here. I heard those same things about Archie Miller at Dayton. Guess what happened? UD offered to make him a top 10 compensated head coach in college basketball. Everyone acts like money is everything. Mm-hmm. It's actually not. It is a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
But if money was everything, Kev, Archie Miller never would have left Dayton. They were going to make him a top 10 compensated coach in college basketball. So to me, money wasn't everything for Archie. Archie looked at that and said, you know what? I have a better, which is so ironic because he hasn't made the NCAA tournament since he freaking left. And UD was number 3 in the country last year. So it's very ironic, and it's not really fitting my story here. But you know that, yes, you can have those outlier years. I love to use that word. Thanks to you.
Boy.
You can have those outlier years, but trust me, Archie was right in his thinking of, I'm going to go to Indiana. Indiana is a blue blood type program. I could win at Indiana. I could do this. Now, it hasn't worked out that way because you still got to finish the job. But it's the same thing here with Fickle. He might leave Cincinnati and say, well, I can win here, just like Archie could have won at UD. But in their minds and in the common perception of college basketball and football, there is a ceiling for programs like that where they're never going to get the respect of those programs up above them. And I think that's what ultimately led to Archie leaving, and that's what's ultimately leading to Fickle going to leave Cincinnati. And when he does, that's fine. I'm not angry at him for leaving. That's just part of college sports. But I will say this. It's going to be interesting what job he takes because he still has to go there and win. Mm-hmm. And how about this? This is coming from Jason Campo. He says, Justin, what about the USC job? What if the USC job is available? And he goes on to say that the USC AD is the Cincinnati AD. I don't know if I look at Fickle and think USC. Do you?
I don't, but they just got a big win. They got a big win on Saturday. I know that. They came back from 13 down in the fourth quarter to win it. Why are you mad? Why?
I love Herm Edwards.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He's one of the few coaches that actually gives us time over here.
Hey, don't sleep on Jaden Daniels, their quarterback at Arizona State. I like him.
I liked how they, what can he do there? What can Herm do there? what he's doing. Just they last year they did it too. They were top 25. They'd win some games. They beat Michigan State. Oh, of course, later in the year we found out that wasn't a good win, but at the time it felt like it was a big win. They win some games. They lose games they shouldn't.
I mean, that game was in the bag.
I turned it off. I turned it off. I thought, that double-digit lead with minutes to go. I was like, we're good. I couldn't believe USC came back.
Look at that coaching staff. Herm Edwards. You got Antonio Pierce from the Giants on the coaching staff. You got Marvin Lewis on the coaching staff. So you know they're being coached up the correct way. Like that game was in the bag.
Yep.
Like I turned it off and I turned it back and touchdown. I'm like, let me see if they get this onside kick. They get the onside kick.
It was horrible.
Boom, score a touchdown. I'm like, that's good.
Hello?
That's
you
gonna
play
hurt.
To win the game. Come on, Herm.
Gonna cry in the car.
Come on. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next. Jason, good question. Picked what USC? Makes sense. We'll see. Kinda.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 78. Tonight's also going to be mostly clear with a low around 56. And tomorrow is going to be partly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 74. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Available at Pet Boys.
Hi, this is Paul Keels, voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Keep your home comfort system running smoothly and efficiently with regular checkups from Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. Butler has been proudly serving the Miami Valley since 1949. Don't wait until your equipment breaks. Call Butler today at 937-253-8871. That's 937-253-8871. Go Butler and go Bucks.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
All those mouths to feed. So many different cravings.
In a world filled with endless dinner options, lives a family ravaged by hunger. The answer lies with one man. No, not just a man, a king, a pizza king.
Get a large Casano's Deluxe Pizza for $15.99 or a large pepperoni for just $12.99. Call 294-KING and see for yourself why the proof is in the taste.
Pizza King.
OHMB 803342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate. 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
I'm one of thousands of women with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body.
I'm living in the moment and taking Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for postmenopausal women or for men with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy.
Be in your moment. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com.
Patients taking Ibrance can develop low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infections that can lead to death. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs that can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are pregnant, breastfeeding, or plan to become pregnant. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ohio State, Maryland coming up this Saturday. Ohio State 3-0. They're going to hit the road, and they're going to be at Maryland. A 3:30 kick, 2 o'clock the pregame, and you can catch all the action right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and, of course, on 92.9 Jack FM. We simulcast it there on our big FM sister station right over there, 92.9 Jack FM. And, we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes exclusively right here in the city of Dayton. Now, keep in mind, coming up immediately following our show, the Buckeye Roundtable.
Hey.
Paul Keel, Skip Mossick, and the gang, of course, we'll recap Saturday's about a big game against Rutgers, as well as some of the other top games around the Big Ten, college football as a whole, and highlight some of the top OHSA state playoff action going on right now. Again, state semifinals right now. And how about my old high school, Van Wert, in the state semis?
Look at you. Did you play football in high school?
No.
You said that quick?
I played my freshman year. And I do regret not playing, like you wouldn't believe. I regret not playing. but I was like obsessed with basketball. I wasn't even good at basketball, but I was obsessed with that's all I did. So all my best friends in high school, they only played basketball. So they just played basketball year round. So then I just didn't play football because I just hung out with them and we like lived at the Y, like literally lived at the Y. Is what it is. And all that practice, I'm bad with all that practice. I can't imagine how bad I would have been like without all the practice, but I was obsessed with that. But it was cool just doing, but I do regret not playing football back in the day. But my old high school, Van Wert, has not been to like state since like 2000. Joel Penton, who played at Ohio State and was on that national championship team back in 2002. That's the last time my old high school even made it to the state tournaments. How about that?
Nice.
So anyways, but yeah, I can't believe we're wrapping up the OHSA state playoffs. I know some others, cross country and volleyball and others. Volleyball is wrapping up this weekend. They usually do that at the Nutter Center. They're doing that at Vandalia Butler High School this coming up year. I'm calling those games for the OHSA, so I'm excited about that coming up this weekend. But yeah, I'm glad. I love getting the chance to see these high school seasons. I'm not saying I'm excited to see them come to an end. I'm excited to see that they got them in. I'm excited to see that football, still a couple weeks left, so knock on wood. But how we had basketball, the damn state tournament. Literally, the boys, I think the girls' tournament was pulled because of COVID at the state championship games.
Yeah.
I still remember, the story that still sticks with me to this day was Carroll. Dayton Carroll, their girls are warming up. There's, I think a caller said there was 15 minutes up on the warm-up clock. They're warming up pregame. The girls are taped and dressed, and they're out on the floor, and they're stretching, and they're warming up, and they got a sweat going, and they're thinking we're about to play, in the state semis. And then with 15 minutes on the warm-up clock, they are told, the principal and athletic director have to come out and say, hey, girls, off the floor, we got to go home. That's horrible. It's horrible to have your sports season taken from you at any point in any dramatic fashion. But to me, because it's high schoolers, because it's the state, championship, I think that's what, that was what was disappointing. But it's cool to get to see some of these sports put bows on their seasons coming up here in the coming weeks, especially with everything going on in the world.
Bows?
Exactly. Got a bow leave that you can get the whole season in, and they did, and they are. So, but yeah, congratulations to all those teams out there wrapping up their sports seasons, fall sports seasons. Basketball is going to be the next challenge coming up. And then, of course, we'll move right on to spring down the road. So excited to see how schools kind of rebound. I will give a shout out, too, to all the local athletic directors. They kicked ass at football this year. Literally, I would be so stressed being them every week having to plan for, especially when you have health inspectors coming in, to come in to make sure that everyone's social distance. There's, at a certain point, ADs could put tape and everything on those seats. But you have to be the guy that's going up and telling people, and we've seen how stubborn people are when it comes to wearing masks and adhering to these social distancing protocols. So then they get yelled at, their staff and member, school. I don't dread. I would never want to be in their position, but I respect the hell out of the position or the job that they've done this year. So shout out to them. A lot of great athletic directors here at the high school level, especially here in this area. All right, let's go back to the phones. 457-9464. We've talked a lot of college football today. Talked a lot of Ohio State, even Cincinnati, the Bearcats. It's like they're climbing, they're going uphill and crap's rolling back at them, but they keep, playing they keep playing at such a high level. That's all you can ask for. Who we got?
We got Keith.
Keith, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, Justin, and hey, Kevin, and hey, Mark. Hey, it's really interesting this year, and I'm going to say a few things that is going through my mind, and it's like all different directions, but let's go with Notre Dame first.
Okay.
It ain't over with Notre Dame, because if we look at 2 weeks ago with Clemson, they played Boston College, and Notre Dame's going to play Boston College this Saturday. And did you see what Boston College did to Clemson? They were beating them, not just by one touchdown, but I think it was like 18 points all the way to the third or the fourth quarter. They were winning, Clemson. So I'm kind of fascinated and wonder what's going to happen with Notre Dame playing Boston College. They play them this Saturday, right?
Yes, and Keith, to your point, Boston College they did play really well against Clemson a few weeks ago, and then Clemson just kind of put it into turbo drive and took off from there.
No, it was like the fourth quarter.
But you're fine. But with Notre Dame, the biggest opponent that Notre Dame has on their schedule moving forward, Keith, is Notre Dame. Notre Dame should be favored and should win their final 4 games against Boston College, North Carolina, Syracuse, and Wake Forest. They should win those games.
It ain't over until it's over. That's what I was saying.
I agree with you.
So let's just say this here. And 1 second, because I've waited so long. I'm talking my bad. I don't want to lose you guys. Okay, but let's say if Boston College beats Notre Dame, then it's going to be very interesting with Cincinnati Bearcats, because I'm a 100% Ohio State Buckeye fan, but I do like Cincinnati Bearcats because I think they're in a position where if they can play a team like once a year that's in the top 10, then they can get some recruitment, like you guys are saying, some good talent. So if they can play like a Notre Dame or some other team that's fairly recognized, then they're on the way to establishing themselves. But if Notre Dame loses against Boston College, who do you think is going to be in the top 5 or 6 there? Say if they beat Boston College beats Notre Dame, then what's the picture after that?
I mean, for as far as that, if Notre Dame loses, I don't think they have a chance of making the playoff if they lose to any of the 4 opponents they have moving forward. They're bad teams. If they lose to any of them, I don't think. I mean, they still might be in position to face Clemson in the ACC title game, but I don't see them getting in.
But you got Florida and Alabama and UC Bearcats. Those are one of those are going to go in the 4th position.
Yeah, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama have 3 of those 4 wrapped up, even with Clemson's loss to Notre Dame. Notre Dame made it interesting by winning because I think Notre Dame controls their fate moving forward now with that win over Clemson.
Okay,
but Texas A&M, Florida, Cincinnati, and I think that those teams all have a shot. And Indiana could be.
Say Notre Dame loses to Boston College, and then they have to play Clemson and lose Clemson the second time around.
Then they're out because a 2-loss team isn't making it. Yeah, I don't see a 2-loss team making it.
Clemson the second time.
That would be. They would have a bad loss, but they'd have 2 great wins, so it would keep them in the conversation. It would be interesting.
Then Clemson would be out of the 4th position. Who would be in the 4th position again?
Then that's basically Notre Dame would take Clemson's spot, and we're right back to where we started with talking about the Texas A&Ms, the Floridas, and whoever. I think it's just it's going to involve a lot of the same teams for that 4th spot.
And let me say something. This weather is unusual. It's almost like summer weather. And I heard about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a guy saying on the radio, I wonder if Clemson's going to lose Notre Dame because it's cold over there.
They didn't have to worry about that now, did they? It's beautiful weather over the weekend. But
yeah, so who was in number 5 and number 6 position this week?
This week? Hold up. Florida. So Texas A&M moved up to number 5, and you had Florida 6, and Cincinnati moved back to number 7.
So I'm rooting for UC Cincinnati Bearcats, but they need to put like a top 10 in their schedule for the next few years so they can get some good talent.
Oh, they're trying. Now Nebraska's not top 10, but Keith, thank you, man. I appreciate it. They tried. They had some bigger names on their schedule this year that would have given them that oomph to maybe carry them over. It's not their fault. You can only play who you can play. COVID, of course, ruined that. But that's the thing. When you were Cincinnati, your margin for error is so slim. Ohio State, they had their game with Oregon taken away. It won't impact their season whatsoever.
Right.
One thing to keep in mind, we keep acting like it's going to be Florida, Texas A&M, maybe Cincinnati in this conversation for that 4th spot. The Pac-12 is fine. If Oregon wins out, they might be a team that gets that 4th spot. USC, they came from behind, beat Arizona State. They might be there too. That's what's bad for Cincinnati. There are teams behind them that literally just kicked off their very first game of the season on Saturday, and they're coming up hot and heavy behind them. So we'll see. We'll see. We close out the show. When we come back, we'll close out with some of your calls. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Try Vicks VapoCool Drops in Honey Lemon Chill for a fast-acting relief of Honey Lemon. Not to mention a soothing chill. So remember, Vicks VapoCool Drops are Honey Lemon and Honey Lemon. Yeah, Honey Lemon Chill. Get fast-acting relief with Vicks VapoCool Drops in Honey Lemon Chill. Use as directed.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like Taylor Swift choosing what to wear.
It's looking kind of chilly out today. I think I'll go with a cardigan.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA member FDIC.
eBay has gifts that say a lot, but don't cost a lot. So save big on a DeWalt drill set for dad that says, let's get to work. Tell your all-star niece it's time for takeoff with Air Jordans at not-so-sky-high prices. And get a certified refurbished Bose soundbar for your husband that says, we're going to need a bigger home theater. Say a lot, save a lot on gifts from eBay for those who mean a lot.
The spread of COVID-19 is still unchecked across the nation, and you need to keep your family safe. Make a new habit and check your temperatures twice a day, once before dinner and before leaving home in the morning. You can't afford to take chances, so use the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies, and it takes an accurate reading in seconds. It's the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Quick and easy to use. You can count on Exergen to keep your family safe 24 hours a day.
Save big money in your next project now at Menards. Get moving on those staining projects with help from Minwax. With a wide variety of stains and finishes, Minwax will have what you need to get the job done right. Right now, all Minwax products are 11% off. Stop waiting and start saving today at Menards. 11% good until November 14th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
We went to Skyline knowing that we could trust that they were doing everything right. The tables were far apart and we felt very comfortable sitting at our table. We ordered our go-to 3-ways and cheese conies and extra crackers and root beers. We felt very safe. It was just a little piece of home for us and, having that sense of normalcy. And we left knowing that this is a place that we can come back to over and over again.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app. Discover and enjoy your favorite music, news, and talk radio from live stations across the country. Listen anywhere on all mobile and home devices with the radio.com app.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package and the double take tire specials. Call today for your appointment. 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
At Meadowbrook at Clayton, our state-of-the-art golf simulators are ready for play. Book your tee times now and get our special rate of $15 per half hour for up to 4 people per simulator. Here's your chance to play some of the great golf courses around the world, including Kiowa Island, Harbor Town, and Spain's Valderrama. Weekday and weekend hours are available, and safe prepackaged snacks and drinks are only steps away. Go online to meadowbrookatclayton.com for details. Everyone is welcome, so call and reserve your times now.
You like your burger medium well, your peanut butter crunchy, and your mattress firm. It's the little things that make you, you. And you deserve a Medicare plan that fits your unique needs. That's why United Healthcare is offering more plan options than ever, so you can find just the right plan for you. Call 1-800-362-8715. That's 1-800-362-8715 to get Medicare with more. Remember, Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th.
What's in store this holiday at your local Staples?
Great deals on the hottest brands.
Staples has this year's must-have gifts for working or learning from home.
Like Apple AirPods, great for video conferences or online classes.
And now at Staples, Apple AirPods Pro are just $194. You save $55.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside.
Get the most wonderful deals on gifts this holiday at Staples.
Ends 11/14. In-store only. Limit 2 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Gifts from eBay say a lot, but don't cost a lot. Get your All-Star Air Jordans at not-so-sky-high prices. And your Rockstar Dad, a Bose soundbar that speaks volumes.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Flyers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Of course, some of the news from earlier this week. Baker Mayfield has to test negative 2 more times before Wednesday to be able to return to practice and play this weekend against the Texans. Of course, he has not tested positive for the coronavirus, but due to contact tracing from personnel within the Browns organization, it led back to Baker. Not that they got it from Baker, but that they had, contact with him. So that's why, he's having to quarantine and kind of sit out and await the 3 negative tests before he can return. But this week, it's a big week for the Browns, Cap. For one, coming off the bye week, they had a chance to get healthy. Nick Chubb, Wyatt Teller, Austin Hooper, and Jacob Phillips were all back at practice today and are assumed to be ready to go for the start to their second half following the bye week, with the Texans coming up. They're, of course, a 3.5-point favorite against the Texans coming up. But if they're without Baker Mayfield, it's like, man, we bash Baker a lot, but I think it's a problem not having Baker. You asked me a question earlier today. If you are the Cleveland Browns for this Sunday matchup, which would you rather have, Baker Mayfield and no Nick Chubb, or would you rather have Nick Chubb and no Baker Mayfield? It sounds like a very simple question. Of course you'd want Nick Chubb. I'm not saying for a whole season I want Baker Mayfield over Nick Chubb, but for this week, I would like to see Baker Mayfield back just because of what we saw against Cincinnati, that horrible game against the Raiders with the weather, not having all his weapons. We're going to find out in a couple weeks, these coming up weeks, just who Baker is, and we're going to find out if he's the same bad Baker. I want Baker back on Sunday. I don't want question marks. I don't want, the backup quarterback in. I don't want any of that. Right. I want Baker back. You have a good running game even without Nick Chubb. Not long term, I don't want this, but for this coming up week, I want Baker Mayfield instead of the other way around. If it came to that, they both could potentially be back, though. That's all that matters.
You always should want your starting quarterback. Like it or not, Baker Mayfield is a starting quarterback, and he's a starting quarterback for a reason, because he's better than Case Keenum. That's why he's the starting quarterback for the Browns. You want your starting quarterback out there. And for the offensive line that the Browns have, back when everybody was doing cartwheels about, oh man, they plugged in
Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt, the other guy. Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
They plugged him in and went 400. Now that they went up against the Steelers without Nick Chubb, they didn't rush too great against the Raiders. Everybody wants Nick Chubb back. Look, man, the offensive line is still good. The running backs are still good. Quarterback, you play the quarterback. You play your starting quarterback for multiple reasons. You want to see what he has throughout the whole season to know if you're going to be doing the 5th-year option on him. And he is the starting quarterback.
That's all you can ask for right now. And, of course, the AFC North standings. Steelers 8-0, Ravens 6-2, Browns 5-3, Bengals 2-5-1. Ravens almost lost over the weekend. Had they lost, the Browns and Ravens would have had the same record and in second place in the AFC North. For all you Bengals haters, for all you Browns haters out there, mostly Bengals fans, you're making fun of a potentially second place team in the AFC North. Who knows? Browns have a lot of winnable games moving forward. So do the Ravens. So we shall see. But the easiest team on the schedule for the Browns, they've already faced twice. They already beat the Bengals. So,
he almost did it. He almost got through an entire show.
Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, he's proven it. I already told everybody. Everyone's drooling over Burrow, but Herbert had a great game yesterday. Tua had a great game yesterday. Joe Burrow, the third best rookie quarterback in the NFL. I don't care. If I didn't host a show an hour from Cincinnati, that take wouldn't be considered a hot take. That'd be considered common sense. So I suggest y'all get on board. Have a great night, everybody. Buckeye Roundtable next.